The podcast is brought to you by G4 Claims. Don't crash your car, or they will play drum and bass at your funeral. Thank you, guys. Cheers.
Day-to-day the shit change, but you know for the most part nothing indifferent. Sometimes be stuck in my ways, weekend fucked up in somebody's kitchen, sticking my hand, I'm chilling with the troops and my few cans down, so I walk like Winston. Trust me, I wake up hanging, you hang that I'm leaving this bed, you're kidding. I'm sitting on back in the pad, get deep fried and I smoke some packs of the grass. Put the feet up, kick back and relaxing at best, no I'm sitting on Reilly's Gaff.
Can you turn those round?
Yeah, away.
I don't like seeing myself, man. It's like people watching you doing a piss, man. It's not too bad, but I just don't.
Watching yourself in the mirror doing a piss. You ever done that at the pictures or something?
Aye, mate. You ever done that?
Is that if you're hanging it?
Self-hatred coming towards it.
Seeing all the demons and that.
I'm like Patrick Bateman in American Psycho, like that.
Flexing. Aye, man. But look, troops, we're in, and we've got Dr. Lee Veldon on the show, everybody. The doc's in. PhD, the skill of hard knocks. But no, a wee backstory. I've met Lee through my work. Now, shout out to all the boys in work that are listening to this, the legends. Running that place, but we'll not drop any names. I'm not trying to catch any cases here. I'm not trying to have people emailing my workplace talking about all the vile things that I've been saying on this podcast. But I met Lee through work, and Lee does a certain job and all that, and one day I just got put in with Lee to learn some things, and we didn't really know each other before that point that much, huh?
No, we didn't. I did everybody in our work knew about your social media, but you didn't know about it.
I know, because like I didn't know anybody knew about it. I thought I came in this place and I get away with it.
I mind talking to you about that. I was like, does anybody like watch your podcast? And you're like, yo, naivety, bro.
I was like, bro, we are good in here, mate. Like, honestly, like none of these people are going to be asked at any point. And then I was sitting in with Lee, and he's like, I'll admit, I've seen your TikToks, and then like, then it was like just started popping up. And be like, I've seen them. So I shout out to all the boys and what, but I get put in with Lee, and we realised we had a lot in common, actually. Lee was talking to me, do you like UFC? I was like, I like UFC.
Where you want to go with it?
There's no way I'm fighting this guy, mate. No, you cannot pay me, mate. I don't know, I'm trying to think of a minimum payment that I would fight Lee for.
Quick milli?
I'd do it for a milli, I'd take the beating.
I'd take a beating, get half.
Aye. I would, like, you could go less on me and I'd half it me, mate.
You could do it like pure a judo instructor, right? I'm going to hit you here, not all planned out.
Steven Seagal video on YouTube, man.
Indiana Jones fight.
We could actually, after this episode, we could set up a YouTube boxing event, me versus Lee. At a catch weight.
Take a dive, mate. You've not been anywhere near me.
Aye, mate. Take a dive, mate. Look, there's good money in it for you. But one thing we got talking about was the taking of maybe perhaps psychedelics. Now, this is something I found out. You know, I know we do deep fried, I know we chat about it, but I wouldn't say I'm 100% well versed. I would say I've not got a plethora, a portfolio of psychedelic work. But I would say this man almost does have that. What would you say?
I've got a light CV.
A slightly impressive CV. So we got talking, and we found out that Lee actually went and done ayahuasca. But before we got into ayahuasca, I went and done the trip, done the ceremony, done it all, the full shebang. I wanted to ask Lee, like, and I don't think I asked you this at the time, but like, do you remember the first time you ever took any psychedelics?
Aye. I was 24.
Aye.
And basically I was away camping, as you do, and I'd never done anything like that at all. And I just went away with a group of guys who, Matt Stoners and all that, right? But it was a pure setting. Like, that's what I think with psychedelics is, the setting is everything. And who you're doing it with. If you date up the fucking street, man, up the town, you do your nothing, basically, right? But done it outside of a lock, man, and it was just the most amazing experience I've ever had. Well, no, the most amazing experience, but it was like for the first time, it was just amazing, just like seeing visuals and stuff like that, and just knowing that that's a thing. Do you know what I mean?
Mind blowing, isn't it?
It's mind blowing.
What was it you done? Was it acid? The first.
It was basically acid.
Aye.
And it was just like a 8-hour trip.
What did you think? Like, because I remember the first time I took it, and it was just like a mad thing where I was like, it was like I feel like
a revelation. Like, what the fuck?
I can. This shit exists. But I remember like what it done for me was it made me feel like I was like discovering a lot of things. Like no one was discovering, but I felt like I had this perception on life where I was like, like I can look at it this way. And I remember having, I don't know if I told you, I maybe said it in this podcast, probably everybody's done this on acid, but the first time I done it, I remember like taking it and like I thought about, obviously it's famous for making you feel like the connectedness of everything, like the fact that, you know, before you take it, you have this idea like you're a different thing for me, and you're a different thing, and you're a different thing, and this building's a different thing, and the trees and all that. But then when you take acid, you like have this overwhelming feeling that it's actually all just one thing, this living organism almost. And I remember having that thought and being like, I need to tell everybody about this. Oh man, I've cracked it, know what I mean? And I remember I woke up the next day and I think I phoned my girlfriend and said, yeah, like, I just thought, man, wait to hear this, right? So when I was tripping, I was thinking like, and I was trying to explain it, and as the mayor I was trying to explain it, I was like, this makes no sense.
You start like getting self-conscious about your mad revelations and shit like that, and you start being like, I know that obviously this is going to sound heavy daft trips, right? But no, I was feeling that. But when you're on it, it's like, no, this is a thing. But I was thinking when you were talking about it the first time, I don't think I've ever said like the first time I took acid, I was like, I think I was too young or something, because I was treating it like a mad. Like it was just like me and a couple of my pals, and we went a big walk, and then ended up in one of the gaffs and like just sitting looking at shit and that. But it was a pure, like, just caring about the visuals and stuff. I never actually thought about it, and I was just like, oh man, this is fucking mental, innit? Like, it was like that kind of way. So it was a bit later on that I started like actual like sitting down and thinking about shit the way you were, like right for the half. I had to actual think about stuff to get the mad thoughts, do you know what I mean? To get them mad revelations.
The first time it's so overwhelming, you know what I mean? It's like the visuals and all that, you've never experienced doing that before, so it's like if you're seeing that, you can't have the thoughts, I don't think. You know what I mean? That's kind of blocked because you're too interested in all this mad, like how good this water looks. Things that it's totally different. It's just mental, but like you're talking about, like you have the revelations, like even I've always had them. I always feel like it's somewhere familiar. Like I'm remembering something and figuring something else out, you know what I mean? And it's such a weird comforting feeling. It's weird.
It's like
it's as if you already know it, but then it's just been numbed out of you with like society, like mad pressures of like the outside world. So it's like it's there somewhere.
But it's like that.
That's when you think like, is it coming for just that you're unlocking more of your brain, or is it like a mad external thing that's like hitting you, like a mad light bulb lighting up? Know what I mean?
That is the question. Is it like some external force that's showing you or try to teach you, or is it an internal thing?
Well, that's what you're here to.
You know what I mean?
So you're here to teach us.
Exactly. But with psychedelics like acid, mushrooms, all that kind of stuff are amazing, but like ayahuasca is on a entirely different level. Do you know what I mean? Like, also we'll get into it, but it's like these things will give you perspective on things, but ayahuasca will give you the story you know for living your life. It'll give you somebody else's perspective of that story. And you can feel the emotions of it. And there's nothing I've ever done that makes you feel like that.
That's crazy, mate. Because like, that's what I wanted to mainly touch on after when we get on it. It's like the difference, because I'm sure a lot of people listening to this have tried mushies and acid and that, but like I doubt many, if one person has maybe went and done ayahuasca, because it's like
there's going to be somebody in the comments like
I've done it 9 times, mate. I should be let me on.
What he said is actually factually wrong.
This guy isn't a doctor.
I've searched every academia.
But see, just look back on like when you first started taking it, obviously you took acid, probably like the perfect place you could have done it. That as you're saying, like it's a lot to do with like your setting. Like somebody I know, the first first time they done it was like at a like in a bar in the town, and like there were four. And I'll tell you who. Wait, we can bleep it. It was. Right. So I remember being on the phone to this person, and they were like. And I was like, what are you doing? They're like, I'm just running across the road. And I was like, get off the road, man. Get off the road.
So you had previously known that this was a thing that was going to happen that night?
No, I got phoned and told, like,
this is happening.
I am on acid right now. And I was like, where are you? And they're like, I'm at like fucking Merchant City or something. I was like, you need to get out of there.
I'm in Molly Malone's. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Nah, it's not the setting, I don't know. But
it's not the setting, man.
I've actually been like a similar experience. Have you ever heard that Pink?
Nah.
The singer? Aye, what Pink is like
Pink cocaine or whatever. I was on that, mate, and I was out at this wee place near the town, mate, like near Sucky Hall Street, right? I was with my pal. I'll ask if I need to bleep it. I was with.
Right.
And
full Nate Sunday name, man.
I mean, it was just devil. I was a few people anyway. So like, and we were taking that, but we were going to room 2, mate. But see, like on the way to room 2, we were at this thing. It's near Argyll Street. We were in Kelvin Grove and we walked up to Argyll Street, right? And it's a mad playground that's got a mad copy of a Mayan temple in it.
What?
It's so weird, mate. It's a wee small playground, right? But then it's got like artificial rocks with like tunnels going through them, and then like some swings, and then in the middle it's like a staircase that looks like the Chichen Itza or whatever, a wee mini version, and we were like climbing up it and all, but we were on this mad pink shit, and we
on those pink shit.
But that's like pure, like what they tell you is like ket, acid, eckies, fucking everything, just everything. Just all the offcuts.
the shrapnel.
Stupid, you shouldn't do it because that's probably such a bad. That's a different drug for the ayahuasca. Like, don't do that, right?
Don't date like him and.
That's like 7 names you need to
sorry, Joe, man.
But and then we ended up in like a boozer before room 2, and it was like the worst experience.
It's all the settings, man.
Somebody ordered that. One of the boys that was on it ordered a Guinness, mate, and he was sitting like quivering, looking.
It's not what you want to be doing, but obviously your environment does help you a lot. So see, after that, see when you were like. Were you like, I want to keep doing this like regularly? So
like for me, right, it was like before I'd done that, I'd listen to obviously Joe Rogan and listen to a lot of people on him, like Duncan Trussell, Graham Hancock, all these people who are advocates for psychedelics, and like they're really intelligent people. So it's not as like you're fucking took this acid, mate. It's just like it's like fucking cunts are doctors and all that. You know what I mean? And basically, we're living like profound experiences on this and like the help it could do, because like think about it, like there's a mental health crisis in all the Western countries, isn't there? And it's like all these drugs are basically the medicines they give are all just to numb, whereas like my experience of psychedelics is this basically makes you face what's troubling you. Do you know what I mean? And it's not always like that. Sometimes you will just see some cool shit, but a lot of times for me personally it's dealt with issues that are bothering me. Do you know what I mean?
It's kind of like it's probably not a coincidence that the countries that are get a bad mental health crisis in it are the ones that it's pure stigmatised to acid and shit in it. Do you know what I mean? Like, because in places it's probably a bit more like open and a bit more, even probably cities, like if you imagine like in San Francisco, I bet there's less a mental health issue because there is people that kind of do shit like that, like natural healings.
You've got other people in Silicon Valley for like Adderall and all that.
Microdosing mushrooms and shit.
Need time for mental health, mate. Need time, man.
Money.
But as you're saying, man, it's like it does. I think that's obviously what you're saying. It's like a lot of stuff in your life that's maybe been bothering you. It's like it almost like presents it to you in a different light and makes you go, oh, it's not that bad, or like, oh, I can think about this like it though. So obviously what we were talking about, is it like external, internal? That is a pure internal part of it, where it's like obviously there's things that happen that you're like, I can't explain why that happened, but at the same time it does let you have issues, and then it brings it to the front instead of like something like, obviously you can't compare the impact of them both really, but like you look at something like booze will make you look at an issue and go and ruin it 10 times worse. Do you know what I mean? It'll make you go, I'm going to fucking do this and I'm going to fucking do that, and it's like it's the total opposite with psychedelics.
This will make my life better, but I'll just fucking wreck my life.
Because it's like you act
destructive nature.
it's like
Carl Jung, I'm sure it's Carl Jung, had a quote basically saying that inevitably at some point we all lie to ourselves, and we're like, and when you're living your life just to get your day by day going, you lie to yourself, man. You lie to yourself that this isn't affecting me, that's not affecting me.
Mate,
know what I mean?
I was at a thing that Carl Jung he said, like, we openly lie to ourselves, and it's not even, no, we openly lie, and it's not even just to other people, it's to ourselves, because you would openly say, can I wait to go home and just be myself? Like when you're in work and that, so he's like every minute of the day, it's not even just one lie a day, like it's like every single minute of the day you're just
perpetual lie.
Compulsive liars.
And even when you're in the house, you're probably like, if you live with your man die, you're obviously different with him and shit. There's only like a small time of the day that you're actually like balls it, just chilling.
And I wonder if that has happened, because I always think like what the shift in our minds must have been for like when humans were first just kicking about, like you're the only thing you had to think about was surviving, right? So then like as society moves on and things get easier and easier for us today, like it's these like your brain is almost like stuck there where all it wants to do is survive, but then there's so many other things in the world, it's like overwhelming, so your brain gets pure overwhelmed and you start having to pure internalised thoughts a bit more, and I think that's why there's obviously a lot of pure people that are like, oh, I'm depressed, or I'm this or I'm that, because it's like back in the day our only instinct was to like survive and just get fed, and like and now there's so much surviving is no really a concern, really. Do you know what I mean?
Surviving in different ways is. That's a pure, like, I just had a mad weird thought. It's probably a lot of bullshit, but like imagine, like, do you know how like all these drugs that are man-made, pure, like, not all of them I'm saying, but like near enough all of them like help your head. What if that is like the universe and like Earth being like, you're in a mad hunter-gatherer's body, that your brain's not big enough to be able to deal with this world, so it's like giving you mad shit, this will help you, do you know what I mean? Spreading this shit about Syria mushrooms there, that'll help you deal with your life. But it's like, we've just, like, obviously in Western culture it's pure like, oh, it's just a fucking drug, mate, what you doing with that drug? Get it done.
You've ever heard of the stone date theory? That's all about, like, they think it is we were like an ape-like creature who might have been eating these mushrooms and like, just staring at fires, and just the consciousness starting to build, because obviously our brains, like, I think it was tripled in size, like, over a short time, whereas like there was like all these years where there was no really any change. Like, there's no really change for us, for like guys thousands of years ago in terms of brains. You know what I mean? It's
like a long thing. See that? See the stone date theory? I was talking to Wogsy the other day. He's getting a tattoo of that. So he is. He's getting like he's got a leg tattoo and it's like a drug sleeve he's getting.
Wogsy also has a tattoo saying toast and peas, and it's toast with peas on it. So take Wogsy's tattoos at face value.
I would get that tattoo, mate. That's the kind of thing I would like.
He got that actual like ripping at in Holland somewhere. Pure. Like everybody talks about toast and beans. What about toast and peas? And then just like that's just Wogsy. That's Wogsy, mate. He's always just like, but what a legend. We need to get Wogsy's coming on the podcast, mate.
I can't wait to get Wogsy.
That's going to be insane. But so you're kind of getting more and more interested in psychedelics here. So were you? How often like would it be like when you're like going camping or like just at somebody's house at the weekend, or like, because
I kind of mixture of both, to be honest. It was the same kind of group, but it was like the kind of guys you could just be yourself, you know what I mean? And like you never felt like judged or anything like that, so it was like you could be yourself, you could have a laugh with your mates, and basically it was mostly camping. But I'll be honest with you, it wasn't overly doing them all the time. It was like maybe 3-4 times a year.
That's all you need, man.
I mean, that's it, because it's not like there's no something you want to go do all the time. You know what I mean? It's like, well, maybe some guys do. You always hear about growing up with schemes, man. You always hear about a guy that's perma trip, don't you, man? I've never met. Well, I have met one, right, since I moved in Ayrshire, but I'm not sure about that guy.
What's this guy?
Oh, mate, so it was my wife, right? So your wife, Jill. Your wife's in a perma. We're driving down Caval, man, right? And she just swerves the motor in, and then next minute Wendy's doing. This guy comes up, man. He's got a fucking toy sword, a toy gun. He's like, "All right, mate. The weather in France is something," and fucking putting a gun to his head, man. And I'm like, "All right, mate." And I'm like, looking at my wife, and she's like, just laughing her head off. Drove away. He's like, "I need to deal with him all the time." Apparently, like, I heard two stories. One, he was perma tripped, and then another one, he had like a nervous breakdown. He was like some sort of like computer engineer or something like that.
Right.
But I don't know what one's true.
Too many digits,
Just
man.
a legendary guy.
The numbers flying about.
But he had a sword, a gun, like wee Scotland flags and all that, just like carrying about, just walking the street.
That was his day.
I like the sound of this.
Mate, there was a guy, one of our patrons, I think it was Taylor Walker, he messaged us to say that he heard a story about a guy who was like getting into a like tea in the park or something, and he tried to like cling film hunters of acid to himself, right? But with the heat, he waited in the queue, it seeped into his pores, and it was just sheets and sheets of acid. And he thought he was a sunflower after that, right? And his mum had to come up to the hospital every day and kid on to water him.
Really?
I don't know if that's real.
I was thinking about that after he told me, well, after he sent that, and I was thinking, I wonder if he was sitting in a hospital like that, and his ma watered him, and he was like,
Aye, like that, and then he was just ready.
Don't make it to the sun.
Just a bit to the left more. Smashing, man. Imagine what happened to your son, man. That's crazy, man. But as you say, like 3-4 times a year. So how did you first even find out for that about ayahuasca? Like, when's the first time you started hearing about ayahuasca?
Basically, it was a podcast with Joe Rogan and Graham Hancock. So one of the first one they done. And it was all about like ancient civilizations and all about Egypt and all this kind of stuff. And then halfway through, just started talking about ayahuasca, and I was like, this is so interesting. Like just talking about all the stuff going away there, and how it was this plant, and how it was like a mother spirit it would come to him, and all these things, revelations that I can't really remember because it was years ago I listened to it. But for that, I just started listening more stuff, and it was almost like all the content would come to you kind of thing, you know what I mean? Like you never heard about it, and then all of a sudden you're seeing it everywhere.
Aye.
So it just kept building and building in it. And then we just kept talking about it, like what if I actually went and what if we actually went and done this?
Aye.
And then basically there was like a bigger group he was going to go. So my mate, I don't know if he done this on purpose or not, right, but he sent a documentary. It was like, I couldn't find it, right? I was trying to find it, but it was an ayahuasca ceremony. But it was a horror show, man. Like it was people who had been like abused as children and like, severe drug addictions and stuff like that, right? But it was positive in the end, but see watching the ceremony, man, you're like, what the fuck? Aye. So after that there was only 4 days left.
Oh, right, aye.
So then after that he sent us like a positive documentary. It was this guy who was like a Jordan Belfort kind of character with like Wall Street or whatever, and he had all this materialistic stuff with a wife and all that, but he just wasn't happy. So he went down to Peru and done ayahuasca, and basically had this big revelation. So he literally quit his job, him and his wife moved down, and they opened a retreat. So basically, I don't know if it was him or the shaman, right? Because it's a positive story, so you're like, oh, that's good, he's changed his life, he was very happy. But we found out after we came back for doing ayahuasca that somebody died during one of the ceremonies, and the shamans dragged him out the back and buried him in a shallow grave.
Oh my God.
So,
where is this, Peru?
This is in Peru.
So is that to cover it up? Like, see these ceremonies, do they get a heavy bad rap if somebody died at them? Like,
aye.
See, to be honest, it's very uncommon that people die, because they show you it's like they've got it in a bottle, and basically they say you need to drink this bottle to die. But the problem with it is, see, because it's became more popular, there's a whole tourist industry developed about it. So there's a lot of guys, especially rich people, go down and do it, and then they're like, I need to go down and get there, I need to get me and shaman and all that kind of blah blah blah. People don't know how to make it up, maybe fuck it up, and then I don't know what's happened to that guy, but he died.
And see, like just on ayahuasca, right? What exactly is ayahuasca? It's a mixture in it. It's not just like one thing.
Excuse me. So basically, it starts with it's water, it's DMT, it's a plant containing DMT, and then the last bit is ayahuasca, which is a vine. So basically, when you take DMT, there's an enzyme in your stomach that basically kills it straight away. That's how, like, if you smoke DMT, you only have like a 15-minute trip. Whereas the enzyme, you have an 8-hour trip. So, and it's a brew you drink, and it is mental.
Aye. So see first as well, like obviously it ended up 4 years, right? So like how did you figure out where to go? Because obviously it's mostly done in Peru, innit, and like South America and that. So how did, like, what was the process of like looking about for like the right? Because obviously like
so
it's not something you want to fuck up.
It's a terrifying thing looking about for it, right? So
comparethemarket.com.
I'll be honest with you, my big mate, right, is a researcher, right? He researches everything. So he was looking at all these ones, and we were talking about going down to Peru at first, but it was just, we couldn't get the time off work, it was a lot of money, all that kind of stuff. So we found that people from Peru actually come to Portugal, because I think a lot of their drugs is declassified.
They are.
All drugs. Because I'm sure they've got like centres for heroin addicts and all that, and like it's got a great reputation for it. But anyway, we went, so we seen the one in Portugal, but the first one he showed me, like, he's like, I think this looks good. So I was looking at it, and I was like, I thought it's good. That I came down to the guy's name. The guy's name was Steve Heaven. I'm like, the fuck? Nah, mate.
Sounds like a porno title.
You know what I mean? He's probably going to diddly you as soon as you haven't done it.
Aye.
Steve Heaven.
The first stage of ayahuasca, get your dick out.
Everybody has to get their dick out, guys. It's just
Mine's is out and hard already. And if you just look at that, you know, Stevie Heaven. So where was
Stevie Heaven?
Aye.
So the next place I found it was, I'm sure they were Peruvian, but it was basically two shamans called Abdil and Geraldine, of all things. You know what I mean?
Geraldine.
That was a weird name, but mate, you couldn't meet two nicer people, man. Honestly. So basically, when we booked it, you get all this information. So it's basically a diet you need to stay away from, like processed foods, sugar, salt. You need to cut everything out your diet like that.
all the good shit?
Aye, all the good shit. So basically,
What were you eating?
mate, so I was like heavy going for the gym, mate. So see, for 6 weeks, right, which I think, always I get amazed to do it, but I think it's because I've done the diet for so long, because you're only meant to do it for 2 weeks, but I did it for 6 weeks. All I ate was like porridge in the morning, and then chicken and sweet potato for 3 meals.
Oh,
and that was it.
God.
Right? And it was.
You were in,
it
I
was
think you were
brutal.
in jail, mate. Were you in jail for 6 weeks?
I was. I was, man. I was in the hole.
I always hear things like you can't eat pork, like even after it and shit. Is that a thing?
I never heard that, mate.
I've heard somebody in the radio talk about that, Trevor something, forget his name, but he was talking about like he's died in Peru, and he was saying like like he was on like a mad podcast I used to listen to, and the guy used to just talk shite all the time. Like, but they would always call him out for it. Know what I mean? They'd be like,
Is this one of these instances?
that's what I'm saying. Like, he said something, he was like talking, he was like, and obviously you can't eat pork after it, and he was talking like that, and then they were just like, no, go back to that. That's a lot of shit.
I can confirm that is a lot of shit. But like, even doing your deodorant, your shower gels and that, it's like you need to have like herbal stuff. So it's all my tea tree stuff and all that. So hauling back,
Really, aye?
got a fortune for a went. You know what I mean? So basically, that was that. So it's like, see, when you're going there, you know you're going to get your arse kicked, right? So it's weird. See, just knowing you're going to do it, you basically start sorting a lot of your own shit out. Do you know what I mean?
What, in your head?
Thinking about it.
Like what might come up in your head and all that?
So like, a big thing for me was my mum and dad getting divorced when I was younger, like when I was 13. It always had a big effect on my life, and I kind of like thought about a lot of stuff, and like put a lot of stuff to bed, and thought, like, maybe this is how it affected me this way, or blah blah blah. But there was one thing I just couldn't let go of, and it was weird, right? It was like my uncle was really dear to me, right? He died before, he was maybe dead for about 6 years at this point, but he had one leg, right? And basically a guy tried to fucking steal his car to Drumpeller Country Park, right, with an air rifle, smashed his window and shot him in the head, right, with an air rifle. And basically, I hadn't thought about it for years, because basically what happened was he basically lost all his confidence. Like, he would get about even though he had one leg, but after that he would just come to your house and sit in your motor. So no matter what you were doing, you had to go out and sit in the motor with him, and it was just sad, you know what I mean? He stole that last wee bit, and for some reason, like, it must just have been kept bothering me, because it was the only thing I couldn't let go of. Like, this guy had done this to my uncle and stole his last bit of happiness. You know what I mean? And it was like
a horrible thought.
And so it just kept going round and round and round. And then obviously I dealt with it in the ceremony, but it's like, it was weird, man. It was weird, just the clarity of it, right? It's like, you're just like, everyone comes to you and you're like, oh, aye, do you know what? This is why you've done this.
You've just got the answers.
You've just got the answers, and there's no reason, there's no reason to it.
And are they like, is it like, I know I might be jumping my head a bit, but is it like conceptual? Is it just like, this makes sense to me now?
Aye.
Or is it like, do you actually go through a process of like learning something? Do you know what I mean?
See, I think it's both.
Aye.
Because I think it's like, it's things you don't really want to think about. You just go on with your day to day, but then you know you need to think about it because you know it's coming. So it's like you face up to it a wee bit. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know about the other guys if they were the same, but like I literally just, there was things happening in my life around about that time, and I was just like, I'm solely focused on this. So I maintained the diet, done all the stuff they wanted me to. And then even when we're sitting in the plane, like we couldn't eat their food, so my mate had a big fucking Tupperware of chicken and rice, man. Just sitting on the plane, just eat this chicken and rice. So I'm just like, what the fuck are they doing?
That looks insane, man. That does look insane.
It was mad. Do you know what I mean? And,
So I was just wondering as well, just while I thought about that. See the shaman, how much contact are you in with them for how long before it? Like what is the relationship like before you even get in a plane?
well, for me, nothing. But for my mate who booked it, he was a wee bit back and forth with him, just asking questions and stuff. Not, we all get put in an email list, but like it's like all the people that do it are like for all over the place. So it's in different languages, like stages. It's obviously the same email. So just nothing.
No FaceTime and all that.
No.
So then you do this diet, you're on the plane, battling into your chicken and rice. What is actually like, how are you feeling at this point? Like, are you feeling like I'm ready for this, or are you still a bit like, oh fuck?
It's a mixture of this is going to be amazing. I'm just going to be open-minded and absolutely shiting yourself, man, because you're like,
all at the same time.
Oh mate, it's like pure heaven and hell at the same time. You know what I mean?
And see when you get, so you land, how are you getting for like the air? Because obviously this is, I'm guessing it's in like the middle of like a jungle or something, or like.
No. So basically, like, this might sound a bit sherry, but
It's in a shopping centre.
It's the middle of a shopping centre, man. People walk about with their bags now. But, basically, I'm sure we flew into Lisbon Airport, and then the guy who ran it's like a yoga retreat we went to. It was basically a farm in the middle of nowhere. Basically, his son came in the airport and picked us up. So we went to Portugal somewhere, but I've fucking no idea where. Just back of the head, man. Took that far. So I think we were one of the first. If I remember right, we were one of the first ones there. So we had like, there's a big ceremony room. It's a big round room. So you put it's like a mat you get and a sleeping bag and all that for the ceremony. But we had an actual room. So we went up, put our stuff away and all that.
A pool and all that.
Telly
and all that. The Netflix, fuck's sake.
Oh man.
Be in there for
But like a lot of people, like they went and done that, and like they just see that mat and the sleeping bag. That's where they were. So we were there for 4 days. That's where they were for the full 4 days. You know what I mean? Just on the mats and the sleeping bag.
So they never even had a room or that.
No, because there was only so many rooms in the place. So I think there was like 3 or 4 people.
It's quite like it's something had monk king in it. Like now when you hear about people that go to they go to temples for like retreats, it's always celebrities that go to find themselves. That's what they say. It's like just mats on the ground.
Because it's like, I think it's a lot to do as well, like the mentality. Like when you're here, you don't have your hangs. Your hangs on the here. There's no hangs here, right?
Leave your ego at the door.
That's exactly that, mate. So that's it. That's the main thing about it, is like pure. Like as soon as you go, it's ego death. Face square one. Basically, you go there and it's like the people are so friendly and all that. So it's like, you know, usually you'd be going somewhere and you're like, I don't know what this is going to be about. And you're all anxious, but as soon as you seen them, they give you big hugs. It's put you ease straight away. You know what I mean? And then other people start. So there's a lot of like, for all the people who was there, that was like us 4 Scottish guys. There was 30 people, so the majority of them were French. There was a couple of Norwegian lassies, and then there was a Brazilian dance troupe, right? But it was like a guy and 3 lassies. Aye. Must have been 2 in Europe or something like that. And then I think there was 1 German, but I might be wrong with it.
Aye.
But well, I can't even remember, right? But
there always is, mate.
I'm there to influence you, man.
One sneaky German.
Just lotting about
Germans.
But so you get here, you meet up. So are you going in and then you're meeting all these people right away?
That was a thing. We didn't meet any of them, right? Because they were coming in the next day. So we were there. So that was hanging on. Like, see, with my mates, like, spent time together, but not that kind of much time. And it was fucking amazing. Like, we just laughed the whole time. So we spent the first day chilling out. I'm sure that's how it went. And then the next day it was the tobacco. So before Ayahuasca, they give you this tobacco ceremony to purge your body. It's the most fucking horrendous thing you'll ever do, man, honestly. So basically we go, right, and that's how it's ego death, right? So you go and there's all these strangers and we're all sitting in fucking garden chairs, wee plastic garden chairs, right? With a fucking flower pot with the shamans are telling you basically, oh, this is a tobacco plant, it's to purge you to help ease your journey in with the ayahuasca plant. Because you purge, there's a risk of you shitting yourself, all that kind of stuff, right? So obviously they said it more in a nicer way.
What did they say? Duplicate yourself. Something very calm. Don't worry about it.
So basically they're sitting there, man, and they've got these big fags, man. They're like big roll-ups. They just smoke them. They blow them on you, right? But there's this thing in it. It's black tar, man. So your thing is, you go and get your shot at it. You do your shot, and they give you a jug of warm water, right? With a plant pot. So you're sitting in your fucking garden chair, right, with your plant pot, your jug of warm water. So I'm like, fuck this. I'm going to down this, right? As quick as I can. Do what I need to do, and that's it, done. Wrong move. So I chugged it, right? Done it as quick as I could. Put it down. Abdul goes, gets me another one. So, but I thought, right, you're going to do this, you're just going to be sick, and that's it. But, oh, fuck me, man. You're sitting there and you're like, they run about you spewing and all that. This is the first time meeting all these people, you know what I mean?
Oh my God.
You're sitting around about spewing. So, talking about ego death, right? So you're sitting there, obviously I'm a big bit of a boy, fucking garden chair, collapses, wipes out
no.
oh, spewing, right? And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, man. Right.
This doesn't represent me.
So they had to come with another garden chair. I'm like, oh fuck. So I was back on this chair, man. I'm like, right, so you're spewing and that. Next minute, I just feel it go. Right, but see, this time my mate was sitting across me. He's like, I actually watched you fall, and you just went into like a Buddha pose and just landed in your arse.
I didn't even leave it in here.
I just accepted that was going to happen, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, mate, that's it. You've been on the diet for 6 weeks at this point. You're almost tripping over the ayahuasca that you gave you yet, mate.
That chicken and rice and the flavour.
That's it. Tip me at the edge, man. But aye, so we've done that, mate. But you're spewing rings, right? So you're there and they're telling you all these stuff about what to expect. And when the ceremony, you say you need to chill for the rest of the day. First ceremony's that night, so you go. I'm like, right, I'm done being sick. Empty my bucket, clean it out, right, and I put it away, right. So bear in mind, right, this is a bit I've not said. So we all went in this bus, right, this wee transit van, like a transit van with seats in the back, mate. And see, we went back up. The driver had no idea what the fuck was happening. So all these guys and lasses turn up with buckets of sick, right? They're spewing, right? So my mates like that, and they're like, "What's going on with all these buckets?" And I went to say him, "Oh mate, it's just the people have been sick." And I went to say it, and I was like, my mate, he's that bucket, I stole his bucket off him, man. So let's say I've been sick. People have been sick in that bus all the way back. It was about an hour's drive.
Oh my God.
Was the guy just like an Uber or something?
No, he knew the place, but he didn't know what was happening, because obviously the place is like an actual yoga retreat, so they host all sorts of stuff. So they used to do psychedelic medicine. I'll go into that in a wee minute, but they do like karate things and yoga stuff and all that.
But the karate team was coming out, man.
Aye,
Oh, it was brutal, that karate, mate.
but probably could have done some karate during it, man. But basically, the family that ran it was the dad, the son, and the stepmom. I don't know if you've seen these kind of videos before.
The famous ayahuasca retreat pod.
But basically, the dad's name was Miguel, and he was like a pure lovely human being. So they pure welcome you in their home, right? So their house is at the back of it. And they were just really kind to us, and we had a laugh with them and all that. They even invited us into their house one night and showed us all this stuff for like a festival they'd been in and stuff like that. But I have to say R.I.P. Miguel, because one of the other retreats they done was the toad. Like, I'm sure you've heard of that.
It's like DMT, natural DMT on the back of the toad.
But I think the pus at the toad's back.
Aye, but I think it's very risky. Like, you need to know somebody know what they're doing. So basically, he done the toad and slipped into a coma and died. So they stopped all that stuff, man. But like the shamans we would done ayahuasca, they weren't involved with any of this or anything like that. But what they said was they would never touch that, and basically
never touch the toad.
They would, because with ayahuasca it's a lot of spiritual stuff in that, and they were basically saying like the way he died was like he was stuck between worlds. And you're like, that is fucking insane.
How terrifying is that?
That is actual barking, isn't it?
Maybe Miguel's in another world right now.
Aye.
But all say, man, he was a cracking guy. Like you couldn't have met a nicer guy. So R.I.P. Miguel.
R.I.P. Miguel.
So was he a shaman?
No.
Right.
It was his retreat. So he invited the shamans over for Peru.
Right. Oh,
so he'd been over there and done it, I imagine, because he was well versed in psychedelics, you know what I mean?
Right, so he knew.
And like I can't explain to you. It's like you go to a stranger's house in the middle of Portugal. You don't even speak the language or none of that. And they're just the most welcoming people.
Aye.
They cook all your meals for you. All you need to do is the dishes.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? And there's like wee tables where we all sat and ate our meals every day.
Aye.
But it was all like
Aye.
vegan stuff and that. But it was actually tasty.
That's how to live, mate. That's the way to do it.
See, I'm just thinking about like the logistics of like living in this place, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, if I was there, I would be like pure no doing it, right? I'd be like watching TikToks and watching cunts playing COD all the time and all that, or is it like the 24/7? Do you act like you're here for a mad spiritual reason? Do you know what I mean?
No, well, some people are there generally for that. You know what I mean, that like it's a spiritual thing. But see, for us personally, right, there was elements of that, but for us, it was more like Western society. You've got your job, you're stressed out your fucking nut all the time. Whereas this, it was fucking 4 days of just pure freedom. All we did was laugh the entire time we were there, you know what I mean? And it was just like the 4 days, just like my mate would come up with daft things like, he say, pass me the Peter Heed. You're like, what? Give me a fucking breed. Just daft stuff like that. But it was just like, it was time that you never get together. But it's like, it's the best time ever because there's no pressure, no stress. Nothing.
All the mad can modern like things like even if say we're talking in work, like obviously at times we need to go back and do work, but like you could be like talking about something and like looking through your phone and like, oh, I need to show you this thing. It's like you're communicating, but it's like
there's no limits put on it. You know what I mean?
I think it's a bit like, no compare it to doing a podcast, but it's the way like, see when you're doing a podcast, you're all talking to each other and there's no like, what about that, or did you see this video, in fact, or did you see that? It's like you're all just dialed into each other, so it's like that there, you know what I mean?
See, you're talking to like us groups and when you pull your phone out, just starts texting and it's awkward for everybody else, isn't it? Like you're just sitting there and you're like one or many. In there's like no pressure, even the people you're with, there's no judgment or anything like that. I mean, everybody's there for their own reasons. Aye. So it's like you can't go like, we had nicknames for everybody, right? But it was just like playful nicknames, like was this
daft prick.
this old French woman we called Bruce Lee, right? Because we didn't know what her name was, but she used to wear like these mad kung fu jammies. We got used to have at school, man. So like, but she's
kimonos and shit.
But like she's a pure interesting woman. Like she we do ayahuasca, like you do the ceremony at night and then in the morning, right? Which I don't know why, right? But mad social anxiety on my part. There's a sharing session in the morning, and basically you have to sit and talk about your trip to 30 people. Is mind numbing, even though I'm sitting on a podcast talking to how many people, you know? But that sharing thing was, oh fuck, I don't want to do that.
It's harder than the actual trip.
Aye. But it was
see as well, you're talking about like you had nicknames for other people. Was there like, did you speak to any people before you actually done the actual ceremony to trip? So like what kind of people did you meet there?
So up to there is like so different places, you know what I mean? It's so interesting. Like the first guy I spoke to was a French guy and basically like numbness all over his skin, and like he's been to doctors like all different places in different countries. Nobody could really do anything for him, so he's done ayahuasca 14 times, and he's basically he gave us a lot of great advice. He's like, because when he done ayahuasca, see for like maybe 2-3 months, he could feel in these areas, and then it would just go away.
That's mad, isn't it?
And like, because they talk about ayahuasca, like especially for like addiction and stuff like that. Like there's another thing called ibogaine. It's even better than this for this, but it's like resets pathways in your brain. So like forms of like addiction and all that. It's just like cycles in your brain. That just
it's like the mad synapses. Like that thing I was taught about with the mad study, and it was like the guy said, it's like you've been walking air snow all your life, all these bad connections to these different synapses, and then taking this as like a new sheet of snow.
That is mental.
It's class, innit? But that's like people say that about mushies and all. Like that's the kind of thing that people saying. I feel like if I've got hundreds of shit going on in a day, it's like the next day I'm like pure clear for the first time in a while. Not like
you're lighter, like you're not holding on to all that shit.
That's one thing with like psychedelics I've always found. See the day after, you just like there's no like you do other things, or mad come downs and all that kind of stuff. Like with them, for me, it's always next day you just feel light on top of the world. You know what I mean?
It's no, you're not in your bed, pure. Oh,
paracetamol,
all done
tab last night.
all done fry up.
All done a fry up, man. That's the basic rough thing you can do.
All done one.
What you ordered? A Glasgow grub, man. Getting a gut buster.
A brekkie munchie box. But so when, like, obviously you're meeting these people, so talk to me through. So you're on this, you're in the back of some guy's transit van,
Back of some guy's
waiting your panning. So where are you going for here? Where are they taking you for there?
Back to the retreat.
Right. Okay.
So we stopped off because I wanted to take a wee bit of a turn, right? So we were just standing there going, what the fuck are we doing here, man? You know what I mean? But obviously she was fine, she just spewing a wee bit. And then we drove back to the place, and it was just a matter of chilling out, because you are fucked.
Aye.
Like your stomach and all that, man. You're just in a bad way. I remember my mate going, I don't know if I've done the right thing here and all that kind of stuff.
Coming here and shit?
Aye, just because he's like, this is terrible. Because it is terrible, right? It's like your body's fucked.
But that's the purpose of that.
That is the purpose. It's basically to make, because if you there's so like when you do ayahuasca, you still be sick and stuff like that, but it's on a much lesser scale. You know what I mean?
Aye. Imagine doing it. You just like come out like you've just had like fucking a
Like a
hot
bar or
dog at the
something.
pictures, not
Fucking hell, man.
a big bottle of blue juice, man. Like, oh.
But it's worse. The worst way is when everything's out your stomach already, and it's still trying. Mate. That's what I imagine. Pure like belly, pure
You
tension.
can feel like the skin of your belly coming out.
Oh, disgusting stuff, man. But so you go back to the retreat, then you chill out. So is the ceremony the next day? The start?
No, it's that night. First one's
God,
that night.
good
So
golly.
you're sitting thinking to yourself, have you done the right thing here and all that? But you do come in and you feel fine, and then it's mad, right? So because in the room, a lot of people are still there, already there, because they're staying there. And basically we had a room, so we went in, and there's like everybody's got a mat and then a sleeping bag, so you put it down, they give you a plant pot, because you're inevitably going to be sick in this plant pot, right? So you sit down and you wait, and so there's 2 chairs, and the shamans come in, right? But I remember it's just us being us, right? It was like, I remember we were in like a daffy corner, right? Because it was like a round room, but there was like a square bit in this corner. So there was my mate there, me, the youngest one he was only like 18 or something when he done this, and then my other mate, they two were in their 40s. So I'm surrounded by mates, but they tell you you're not meant to do that, because you're not meant to have any influences that you know around about you.
Might affect.
Might affect. Which I think I kind of did to one of my mates at one point, but I'll tell you that in a bit. So you sit down, you're in a sleep bag, and the pure anxiety ripped at you, man. You're like, oh, fuck, what's going on? So the shamans walk in, right, and just us being us, my mate just starts giggling, because they're wearing the get up, man. I mean, like the robes, and she's got the hat on and all that. And my mate just started giggling. I was like, but mate, it's mad. So they sit down and they talk you through it. They say, like, you're going to do this plant medicine. Oh, sorry, I missed a bit. So basically, you have to fill a form out, and you talk to them during the day after you've done the tobacco.
The shamans?
The shamans. So you fill it, and it's all your intentions. And then they ask you a line like, have you ever done any like drugs or anything like that? So I wrote down what psychedelics I did. And you basically have to tell off for that, because you're not meant to do them without their guidance.
Oh.
So you basically write down your intentions of why you're there. And like, I'll be honest, I wasn't really honest on it, because I didn't feel like I could be. So I was like, I'm here because I want to be a better person, which was kind of true. But I was there because I like, wanted to deal with the stuff I had inside.
Mm-hmm.
But so I passed that to them. They talk to you a bit. So there's like, one of the things that they say is like, you're going to experience things like visions and stuff like that, but do not go any extremes. And they basically said to us, when you do ayahuasca, you open yourself up, so it's like opening your front door. But when you open your front door, the first ones that come are always the thieves. Right?
A hard line.
It's a shaman.
So
the mic drop.
A cold ass shaman line.
So the thing was, there's people there that had never done anything, which I found outstanding, right? Because they're
balls.
the bravest people I've met. I mean, because that French guy that said about the skin, his girlfriend was meant to go with him, right? And she shot it last minute. So instead of her mum went. So he's like, kind of future mother-in-law went to do ayahuasca he's done it 14 times, she's done it once. Mate, and she was a crank woman, like she was like, honestly.
That is mad.
You need to be, man.
Mate, but can you imagine you're not going with us? Fuck, then I'll go with you in the mall.
No, he'll go with my mom.
My mum will love that.
Julie!
But so I was just, so you're all sitting there, so you, like there's a language barrier with certain people and that, so you also have a smile and all that kind of stuff. But you can see everybody's nervous running about, you see people running to the toilet last minute and all that kind of stuff.
Just feel it.
So he sit right, so they hand you this wee shot. So, like that shot, it's pure dark green. So you're like, fuck it, do it. So I'm sitting down with my mate and I'm like, I don't know if I feel this kicking in. Right, but the lights and all that still on, and they'd start it in. And it was like, it was just like a wee daft shot to help it go down. That was the starter. A wee placebo. I was go like that. I think, it's starting to kick in.
Mate, honestly, I'm fucking
go to that.
I fucking love all you cunts, man. Well, like, mate, there's no started yet.
Bring me that. That was mouthwash, mate.
They basically did this thing round about the room. It's like a blessing. They tell you, if you go to the toilet, you have to stand at the door and they'll come here and they like spray this stuff at you. You go back and sit down. So after that, it's go time. So they get the bottle out with the brown. They explain to you what it is and what it does in this plant, and how you have to be honest with your intentions and stuff like that, right? So they start pouring at the shot. So one by one, well, it was because there's two shamans. People going up in twos. So you go up, you take it. It is horrendous, right? It's like pure foul tasting, but like I thought, because I'd seen a lot of reports before that, it's like hard to get down, but it went down, no bother, and held it down. So because a lot of people were sick straight away.
Would that ruin it? Like, know how if you do that with an eckie and you wait it out? Does that like, because is that it just coming straight back out? Would you need to do another one if you did that?
I think what they tell you is go back, sit down, and just chill, because you will feel terrible right for the first wee bit. Hold it down as long as you can, and if you need to be sick. But I know people that did that and they still got a lot out of it, you know what I mean? So, so you basically sit down and then the lights go out and then you're like, right. So everybody's kind of like just sitting down and getting relaxed for a wee minute. And then, like obviously the two shamans do ayahuasca as well. And basically you're just sitting in the dark and you just start seeing wee things, like maybe just starting. And then you just hear the shaman start going, it's like I don't want to blow in the mic, but it's like
But what?
Exactly. But you just hear that, right? And then it just, see what you're seeing, just starts reacting with it. And then they start singing, and that's you on your way.
But that wee, like, the wee whistle, the wee whatever they're doing, is like guiding you into
see
it.
that wee whistle? That's like it's almost like a beat they keep, right? But obviously, mate, I've watched a lot of ayahuasca documentaries and all that, and I've heard people, like they sing Icaroses. So it's like healing songs, but they're in, like some of them in different languages and all that, and it depends what one they use. So like for instance, see at the end of an ayahuasca trip, all 30s would get called up, because there was two of them, you get called up in pairs. It'd be pure random, but they'd sing a song just to you. But obviously the rest of the people are hearing it. But like, they sing for 6 to 8 hours. Wee breaks in between, they walk around you, and it's like a stuff. I don't know what it is, but they basically spray it all over you.
What is that
like
for?
Front, back. I think it's like a blessing for like spirits or something like that.
Maybe it's
Or
bug spray or something.
maybe bug spray, I don't know.
Bug spray, aye. It's so funny, isn't it? Because like obviously you think everything that you get there spiritual, and you're like, oh, it must be a blessing. They're like, nah, literally mosquitoes, mate. Like,
just saving you for the midges, mate.
but you see the boots label on it. But so you take it and it's starting to kick in. You're starting to like get on this trip. Like, what can you remember for that night? Like, what can you actually remember for it?
So like for the first night, right? Basically, it starts off. It's just like visual stuff. It's like if you take, it's kind of like if you do psychedelics, right? So basically, you'll see some stuff. You maybe see animals or geometric patterns and all that kind of stuff, right? But for me, right, that was all. Like, here, have a wee look at this, but it's to set you up for what's coming, because you've experienced this before, right? And you think, all right, I know where I am here, and then it's like pure fucking flips on you, right? But for instance, like, you're sitting there, right, and I was seeing this thing, and it was, I can't describe what it was, but it kept showing me things, right? So it would show me like a watch, and take it apart. You see all the bits to it, and then put it back together slowly. Right, and it would do it with other objects, right? And then I feel like it was going to do it with me, right? So basically, right, like the first is weird, right? So like, if I was to describe it, the first night was like it was kind of, the whole feeling was like feminine, right? So like, it was all about, for me, right, I was just sitting there, I was just thinking about my mum, right? So basically my mum and dad had a lot of trouble having kids. So for me, right, they tried for 17 years, had a lot of heartache, miscarriages, all this kind of stuff. And I was born on my mum's birthday, right? Excuse me. Basically, I could feel like a pure longing for her to have a child, and all the pain and that she was going through. And like, this is the thing what I'm saying was different for like normal psychedelics, is I could feel that. I could feel her pain, and I could see it from her perspective, right? So I'm just thinking like that, like, oh, do you know what? I fucking love my mum, right? And it was mad, right? Fucking all of a sudden I'm in a hospital room, right? So a wee story to tell you before I say this. Before I went, right, see my mum, she bought me a hoodie, right? She's a daft hoodie, it was like £4. But for whatever reason, it meant a lot to me, right? So I wore that the first night. So I'm sitting there, and I'm basically in this fucking hospital room, right? And I see this woman holding this baby, and she's so happy, right? And it comes like, almost like I can see from her point of view. And I'm looking at this baby, and I can pure feel the love
That's fucking...
my mom has for me, right? Because I understand that this baby is me, right? And then that
and
thought,
you're seeing it from the perspective of your mom. So
aye. So I basically kind of like, oh fuck, this is me, right? And it kind of snaps me out the vision. And I look down, and it's the jumper, I've got it all wrapped up like a baby, and I'm holding it in my arm. Like, what the fuck?
You're actually blowing my mind. I mean, serious.
I'm like, I blew my own mind, mate. I just sat, like, that's the thing, like, when you're doing it, right? So when you're doing it, you're aware of the room, you're aware of other people, right? But not all the time. So you can hear people crying, people laughing, people being sick quite a lot.
See, it sounds like not a good eye. It sounds like not a good situation.
That's the thing, right? See that? It's not a thing you be taken lightly. It's not like you're going to go, I'm going to do a tab acid, see what happens. It's something like, I was talking to Evan about this today. It's like, see if you want to do it, it's something you need to feel drawn to, because it's a massive undertaking. Like, it's hard. Mm-hmm. You're basically suffering.
It's a shift.
It is a shift, and it's like, see if you really want to work on yourself and become a better person. It is what you need to do. It's like, they call it fast healing, because you could go and speak to a therapist or whatever for years and never get what you're going to get there, because that's the thing that's hard about it. It just shows you this fucking mirror to yourself.
Aye.
And you have to look at it.
Aye,
You need other way of looking at
accountable.
it. Oh, mate. And it will ridicule you, it will horrify you, it will give you feelings of pure love and joy, but also terrify you at other times.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
And is that like, because you go through that many things, is that just what you would say is what makes it so life changing?
Aye, because it's like a life review.
A crash course in your life.
It's like a crash course on Jamie Kelly. If you went and done it, I mean, it's like, this is you. This is your life.
Aye, but no for like the mad, no for like, because we all have a recollection of our life, but like our ego's attached to it. So like you think like, aye, this is how it went down, but it's because they were being a fucking prick about it, and like, but then
on the other side, your guilt's attached to it as well, or your like self pity and shit, and like there's like the negative emotions as well that might. If it does show you shit, it would be like, here, I'm not actually that bad, you know what I mean?
Aye.
Like, there is probably another side to it that's probably doesn't
like
get...
it balances it out. Like, it might show you some situations you're looking at where you think you're right but you're wrong, and then the other way about as well.
Because if you think about it, like in life there's always like a certain truth. So like in your life as well, you'll have a certain truth that will be in the middle. It won't be like 100% right and 100% wrong. It's a 50-50, like everything's down the line. So that's going to show you shit that will...
like your truth is based on your perspective, whereas this is showing you, like everyone's saying that guy's a dick, but you maybe see it from that guy's perspective and you say, oh fuck, I was the dick.
Aye, I get you.
See, just like you got to that point and you realise you had the fucking jumper, is that when like the trip, like what happened then? Was it...
So basically you think, oh, that's the big revolutionary moment, that's it. I was at fuck, man.
At the warm-up.
that was the warm-up actually.
That was pre-match.
That was still the shot, guys.
So exactly. So like,
Stop drinking that mouthwash, like.
it's just my love of mincemeat.
Guys, you know, so many people out there, you know, the summer's ending, it's coming into autumn, and, you know, people need to fucking sharpen up, to be fair. There's a lot of people out here. I've seen a lot of wacky hairdos.
Scruff dogs.
Couple of tramps, basically. So if you're a tramp, you're listening to this, you're needing a wee haircut, there's only one place to go. Where is it, Jamie?
It's Code Barbers.
It's Code Barbers. Now, they are down at Duke Street, yeah, and if you don't know Duke Street, you should have your Glasgow City Council card taken right off you, baby. Duke Street, a legendary street in Glasgow, a prime bit of real estate, and the boys are down there chopping hair on a daily basis. You've got your big stars that are going in there, Jamie. James Jimmy McCarthy was there.
Yep. Big baller. Big
that?
Baller Jim, they call him.
Oh right, I thought you were talking about a guy called Big Baller, the rapper. And I have seen him in there.
Aye.
Getting some cornrows in, man. Spitting bars and spitting on the staff, which I thought was very out of order for Big Baller.
He's not allowed back.
But if you've got a pair of big balls and you want to go down to get a haircut, man, get down to Code Barbers. Ask if you want like a wee fancy haircut, you want a wee something out of the box, you ask for the Hagman, the Haggler, Reese Marvin Haggler Haggerty. He's gonna guide your journey with that, if you're looking for something a bit wacky. But he also does the bog standard stuff as well.
The follicle homicide.
He does that, and you will need to ask sort of under the table for stuff like that, guys. But at the same time, you know, all the guys in there are fantastic. Great banter. They've got great banter. If I could say one thing about them, you know, outside the haircuts, you get a bit of great banter down here, guys.
Bit of chat.
And they also have a new shop opened over in Uddingston. So if you're in South Lanarkshire, a bit nearer to Uddingston, get down there. You're going to get the same quality of trim, same price, baby. Yeah, it's going to be beautiful. So troops, get yourself down there. Tell them Reilly's Gaff sent you, and enjoy your beautiful new haircut. Cheers. Troops, you know the podcast is brought to you by Belter Lux. Now, Belter Lux are a company, but also I think they're lovers as well. I think they do make love from time to time. Maybe their other half, or maybe they're committing adultery, which we don't want to attach ourselves to that. We don't know anything about that. The relationship between us and Belter Lux is strictly business, and let's get down to business, guys, because they are running competitions all the time, man.
Constantly.
They're running competitions for you to win wee things, man. Wee things, big things. Cash deposits into your bank, man. And who couldn't do with a bit of cash?
Who couldn't do with a Bardi 12 bottle wine cooler?
Exactly.
For £1, bro.
Exactly. And obviously the Buddha did say you can never have enough money.
Aye, that is true.
That is a famous Buddhist teaching. Mm-hmm. So, you know, give me some other prizes. What have they got on just now, Jamie boy?
Well, would you like an iPad? Would you like a brand new state of the art iPad, mate? Have you got £2?
No. I could get it.
You can get it for somewhere.
I'll get the cash as well.
You're in with a chance, mate. £2.
If I can get £2.
It's not even £2 because what are they going to get off?
With Reilly's Gaff, you know, you're going to get 50% off, baby. So if you're buying tickets over at Belter Lux or entering any of their competitions, at the checkout, use the code Reilly's Gaff 50. That's the number 50. And you will get 50% off. So go and buy yourself maybe 10 sweaty tickets, guys. And Joseph nearly had a seizure there, which is always fantastic during the ad.
He's so excited about the great deals.
He could not believe we were getting 50% off there. His body quivered like a damsel in distress, yeah. So, you know, get over there, guys. They're running crazy competitions, Rolexes, TVs, Hoovers and that. Get over there and get some money off. Reilly's Gaff 50 at checkout. Go win yourself something beautiful, guys. Guys, we've got a big announcement. I have MLS and I'm going to die soon. Do you know what?
Fucking sin.
Do you know what?
Major League Soccer?
No. I'm suffering with a case of major labour shortages.
No.
And I've not got long left. There's only one thing you can do to save my wee tushy. Get in touch with Caval. Now look, guys, Caval are the fastest growing construction recruitment agency in the land.
In the land?
In Scotland. it's crazy, really, guys. So if you are in this sort of line of work, maybe you're a young man, you don't know what to do with your life, all you're doing is kind of having a wank in the shower and just not really knowing what to do with your life day to day. You're eating toast and beans for your dinner,
Shouting at your dad all the time.
shouting at your dad, just saying, "Dad, fuck yeah,
Fuck you, dad.
fuck you, dad." And your dad's not even there, man. He left ages ago. So, you know, if you're going through a hard time and you're a young man in the lands of Scotland, get yourself on the phone to Caval. Now, the number is 0141 732 9660. Now, when you phone up, they do require you have a wee CSCS card.
Aye.
And see, if you've got a CSCS card, they're going to guarantee to get you a job.
I mean, what other places doing things like that?
Nobody's making guarantees in a cost of living crisis, and like, who knows what's going to happen. The Queen died, and
Job shortages.
nations on its knees.
The Queen died?
Nations on its knees.
The Queen died?
The Queen died.
I've not even heard of it, man.
Michelle McManus, R.I.P. But so there's major labour shortages, guys. So if you are, you know, they're looking to employ joiners, yes, labourers, ground workers, and sky workers.
Mm-hmm. And who isn't he? Who isn't he? Why
So
are they?
if you are a magician, get in touch. But no, seriously, guys, they supply all tier 1 construction companies nationwide. So if you're looking to get involved with Caval's many jobs across the central bloody belt, guys, there's one number to call. It's 0141 732 9660. So again, that is 0141 732 9660. Note it down. Give them a phone. Tell them Reilly's Gaff sent you. Say, I seen you on this podcast, Reilly's Gaff. I'm looking for work across the central belt. I'm looking to work, you know, with tier 1 construction companies, and, you know, help me out. And if you've got a CSCS card, they'll guarantee to get you a job. So head over there, guys. They've got their website. We'll put it in the description as well. Go and see if there's something for you there. Cheers.
Aye, so basically after that, it's like you're sitting there, and like I was sick quite a lot after that. So you're sitting there, and it's mad, like the way you kind of like purge. It's weird. They tell you, the one thing I didn't get was the shits, which I'm very happy about. Right, is like shits, being sick and sweating. So you occasionally go through mad spells of like, I need to fucking clothes off, right? No, always t-shirt and that, right? But you're taking your hoodie off, you're putting it back on, taking it off. So there's like stuff like that, and you're still seeing like visual stuff. But is there like singing? The way they go together is unbelievable, man. Like, I could not describe to you. Like, I've never, even through all the documentaries that I've watched, there's never been anyone that came close. No, obviously I was fucking mad with it, allegedly. You know what I mean, but there's times where like he'll be singing, and it's like just like the normal ones you would hear in the documentaries. But see his wife, she's going like a pure low pitched, almost to the point where she's like throat singing, and it's pure. Like,
the way it goes together is like, whoa.
Lennon and
So,
McCartney.
so basically,
that York and Co.
basically, I spoke to a lot of people about it, right? Like, and like, see that time, it's like she's drawing something at you, like you feel something, like she's pulling something at you, and it's fucking horrendous, right? And you're like, and then like a lot of people were sick after that, but it's just for like 5 minutes maybe, but it's like a pure poignant point, you know what I mean?
Aye. Mate, it's like a pure. It's just like this on drugs. It's like this times 1,000. But you know how that way when you're listening to tunes, when you're like taking acid or even anything like DMT, if you like watch something like I just remember like watching something that was like a mad tune, but the telly was pink, like the tune was the album cover was pink, and it pure affected everything, and the tune pure went way. It was as if I was on a train, a mad bullet train. It was moving that way through these mad geometric shapes and shit, but it was getting affected by the words and shit.
I know what you mean.
It's the same with acid, I think, as well. Like, it will make you like if you were saying about the whistles and that will just unlock a mad thing out there.
Like, see when you're on psychedelics like that, like obviously you have cover stuff for like MK Ultra and all that. It's like, see when you're on psychedelics that level, man, you're heavy suggestible. So like that's why like your environment's so important, because everyone affects you, you know what I mean? And like that's got such a profound effect on you where it's almost guiding you through. Do you know what I mean? Like they talk about it's guiding you through like a spirit realm and all that, but where that is, I don't know, I do not know, right? There's a lot of spiritual stuff attached to like ayahuasca, which I will say, like, you pure interact with things and you're like, I don't know about that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's right or like the way people talk about it, or it's just some coming with what I'm projecting.
Aye. Like, you don't know if it's like a common thing where, like, like other people that I've done ayahuasca, they're like, you see this thing, and it's like it's not a shared thing. But like, what
that is a shared thing, right? I will say, is like ayahuasca, that they call it the mother, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they call it mother ayahuasca, and everybody sees her, right, in different forms, like which she is to you. Sometimes it's just like a geometric pattern that it's like you like basically.
It's like something that's guiding you through the trip almost.
Aye, so the whole time you're doing it, like you're asking questions, and this is telling you the answer, whether it's the answer to your question or it's something else. But it's like pure guiding you through. But you're not talking. It's like it's just like a connection. It's conceptual. So basically, like you'll say, "Oh, why am I like this?" And then it maybe just tell you a story about something else. Do you know what I mean? Or it might tell you exactly why you're like that, which happened to me quite a lot.
See, during the trip as well, like how you're saying, like you could ask it this. Did you feel that way? You were actively involved in the trip where you could ask it questions, and so
100%.
so I would say that's a wee bit. I don't know. Like I feel like I don't know. Like I would expect it. See if you take a lot of acid, right? The trip is kind of just it's taking you. Do you know what I mean? You're no stopping and going, what about this? What can I? You're like, well, you're looking at things and your brain's just sort of like making its own movie. But you said you were quite aware in it.
Aye. So like, there's times where you're having a mad experience, like you're in a hospital room, right? But other times, like you're aware of the room, you can hear people making different noises, like for like people being really happy. You can like, because it's pitch black, you can just see silhouettes of people. So sometimes you can see people dancing and stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Being sick,
being sick especially, man. You know, you can't look at a plant pot again after you do it, right? You know what I mean?
Mate, on DMT I felt like it was like you were looking behind a curtain at shit.
Aye.
It was as if like you were a mad spectator, and it's like the Wizard
of Oz.
Mate, exactly. The only like proper like person or thing I kind of seen was as if like I like looked behind this curtain and there was like a guy getting ready for like a show, and he had like a checkered suit on and he was holding a mic and he was like hinting about shit, but it wasn't actual that, it was just like what these shapes look.
What you ended up conceptualising that as.
And then like that was there, and then just behind him there was like a guy like fixing mirrors, like doing that with mirrors, and it was as if it was like a circus, and then there was like a lassie storing doing that like with makeup and a circle mirror kind of thing. It was just as if, and it was like when I came out I was like, I just was like peering on like the mad backrooms fucking staff putting on a mad circus or something. Do you know what I mean? Like the machine elves were putting on a show for cunts back there, mate, honestly.
That is insane, man, isn't it?
But it's like trying to explain stuff like that is a madness in it. When you're like, you see like machine elves. You know what I mean? But like for me, like with ayahuasca, you're constantly seeing stuff like that, right? So like sometimes it's like it doesn't feel like aimless, but you're just seeing stuff, and then other times but it's like setting you up for something. So I was sick, and then basically I was just sitting and I was quite calm, and then all of a sudden I was in a fucking jungle, right? Which I imagine would be the Amazon jungle, right? Because that's where the plant comes from. But it was this story of this guy and woman, right? And the guy was like a hunter, and they had two wains. And basically they're sitting, and I could see them like arguing, but I couldn't understand what they were saying, right? And then it gave me the perspective of the woman. So see, during this, right, so this is about halfway through your first session. Basically they sit and start playing this drum, like it's just like a dum dum dum. So you just kind of hear it, and basically it's to go up and get your second shot. So basically I'm sitting seeing this picture, and I can see them arguing, and it's the perspective of the woman. So she's looking at her two kids, and then the guy, he's like in a Scottish accent, he's like, I'm fucking off. Right, and my mate went up to get his second shot, so see in my head, that was the guy just fucking off.
That's mad.
What the fuck, right? And then it's just the monumental task of this woman having to survive in this jungle and look after these two kids. And it's like the sheer overwhelmingness of it, like I pure felt it, man. I'm like, fucking hell, man.
That's fucking
right, but that's the story of my mum. You know what I mean?
Aye.
And that's what it was. It's basically, I could feel how she felt like when my dad left. Like a whole wall was just flipped on its edge. And basically she had two kids to raise. And it's like, where the fuck did I do? Do you know what I mean?
Because you felt all that mad
you both get their roles, and like you're fucked with everyone. So it's like, I just felt that, and I was like, what the fuck? And that was just like, that threw me, man. Like, I just sat with my head in my hands for ages.
Aye, that's
just
something that you can't outside of like experiences like that. You could never genuinely feel that.
No.
Never genuinely feel what like your own mother or any mother like goes through and sacrifices and shit. Do you know what I mean?
You can only like you can only imagine it for what you've like maybe heard about having a kid, or like do you know what I mean, like having a kid and how hard it is. Like, but that is painted the full picture for you, and it's just what I think so interesting about it is like say if you take acid or mushies or whatever, right, you might think about things in a better, like clearer way, and you might be like, oh, I'm fucking such a genius, man, I'm thinking about all this shit, but you don't get to feel the emotions of other people. I think that's the main difference.
And, like, in our society, it's not exactly, well, it's better nowadays, but it's not exactly great. It's not exactly taught to us, oh, you should feel your emotions.
Aye.
So we bottle up a load of shit, you know what I mean? Whereas I think like psychedelics lets you tap into that and breaks all the kind of barriers that society builds.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? For me, like with that, I was just like I always knew how, like, my mum done a fucking great job, right? And we still had a great childhood and all that kind of stuff and blah, blah, blah. But I could see the effect it had on her. But that, like, I don't know if that's just all my, like, I don't know how, like, it would be, I don't know if that's all my experiences living through that. See my mum, if that's just a collective through me presenting that, and that's the emotion I'm feeling, like, or it's actually how my mum felt.
Or if you're tapping into, you're like cosmically tapping into this mad fucking like psychedelic feeling.
Because it could be, I know what you mean. It's like, it's almost like you obviously have a conscious feeling.
I feel like it was an external thing, but I can't obviously 100% be sure. But like after that, you're just sitting making kind of revelations, and it's just like trippy. But as they sing all the songs, see it called up. But I was in that jungle thing while I was still, where he shout my name, so he's like, Abdul, my dead gently spoken, he's like, Lee? I could just hear someone go, Lee? He's like, Lee? But I was too late to even get out, so he just came in and he put on, he's like, come my friend. He took me in, I sat in this like kind of cushion thing in front of him, and they like sing a song, but see when you're there, man, it's like, see the visuals, it's just sweeping all around about you, and it's like, it is fucking mad.
Aye, so it's like, I've always wondered as well if it is like I know you kind of half mentioned it earlier on, but is it like augmented reality, like it's this, but with shit coming in, or is it like you're in another place?
Well,
it's like somebody's put a TV screen in front of you.
Aye, so see, like when you have any visions, it's almost like you're watching a screen. Do you know what I mean? So, but the other times it's like, you know, like if you're tripping and basically you just see stuff about, but you're not quite sure if something's really there.
Aye.
And that's an augmented reality. So basically it's both, and then but the screen stuff is the vision stuff, which basically is the real shit. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
So
but then so they were singing that, so they took you and they were singing a song to you, and then your trip continued after that, or like what happened? This is still the first night, innit?
Aye, so this is still the first night. So I went back and I was just sick quite a lot, and then just like tripping, but I felt happy. I felt like, you know, I've really turned a corner with what I'd seen and what it meant to me and all that stuff. So I was sitting there, I was quite happy. So it just kind of peters out. And then obviously they stopped saying people are asleep and stuff like that. So we goes up to the room, and the boys, that was fucking mental. And they were all like, I didn't really get into that. Really? The three of them, I was just like, it was, I didn't really, I don't know if it was, I don't know what happened with them, but it was like, my mate described it perfectly. It's like almost like you had your seatbelt on, but you couldn't get it off. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, he's like, oh, fuck.
As if you were ready for it.
Aye, but I felt bad because I'd had all this fucking madness.
It's shite for you as well, because you can't like discuss it with somebody at that point as well.
But see, I did discuss it with them, because they're like kind of people, but it's like I did feel bad because I was like, oh, fuck man, I'm not going to get anything out of this.
Aye.
But like, it's built a certain way, right? So see, like the first night it's a smaller dose, the second night it's the big dose, so I had to get some the second night, right? So, and then the third night I think it's a wee bit tailored off, but no as less as the first dose. So the second and third night, like I was the only one that was sick as well out of four days.
Really?
And then I think the second and third night they were all starting to be sick and stuff like that. So I don't know why. I was going to put it down to is I done that diet for 6 weeks. Because going into it, you know what I mean?
It's that chicken sweet potato, bro.
Chicken sweet potato, mate. That chicken and rice at 35,000 feet now.
That was it, mate. It was the height of
That's what it comes down to, man. High chicken.
That altitude rice, mate. That's definitely, man. It's like eating rice in EK.
Oh, exactly.
Which is dangerous. You shouldn't do that, mate.
Never eat rice in East Kilbride.
Too many roundabouts.
Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that's a danger.
You will just bloat and explode like a. You ever seen the birds that just?
Aye, combust.
Aye, man.
When
R.I.P. all the
when
birds.
Fiona for Shrek when she sings.
Aye, mate. Exactly like that. Exactly,
That's
man.
that's my reference point. Up,
But so that's is that like the first night?
That's the first night.
Right. So then, what happens like in the morning? You wake up. Like, how are you feeling when you wake? Do you go to sleep? Do you wake up?
It's like if you go to sleep when you're fucking out your box, man, and it's like there's still stuff going
You're
on.
wild
It's
a
like
bit,
it's like that. It's still wee residuals and stuff.
Still hear the singing and shit.
You can still hear that wee.
It's like being at a festival. It's like,
I'm like,
you can still hear the man. It's like
See that is in my brain. Cause see, sometimes I'm just carrying on at work or just in my subconscious doing something. I can hear myself doing it.
That's
like
dynamite.
That wee.
It just means it's stayed with you, doesn't it?
That must, you know what I mean? But like you get up in the morning, you're like, fucking hell. And then it's the sharing session. So like I said, I had mere anxiety about that. Fuck knows why, but it's like I felt like I could do that bit no bother, which I'd just been through, even though it's fucking mind blowing. I felt like that was the easy part, and then sitting down with people and sharing it.
Aye.
So basically, even though I'm sitting in the podcast sharing it, you know what I mean? But it's like you're sitting there, right? So people are telling stories. So it starts from the other side of the room, but obviously because of the language barrier, they're sitting. So if somebody speaks in French, they speak to them, they translate it. So you're doing like a line at a time, any Portuguese and then English. It's heavy, a long session you're just going through.
You're sitting in 30th.
I know. I think I was literally about 27th or something like that.
No.
See when it came round, I was like, why am I being so fucking ridiculous? Because I was listening to everybody's stories and they were dead insightful. You know, just people from all different backgrounds and why they were there and what they seen. And like, I thought what I seen was mental because my mates didn't really see anything. But I thought like what I seen was mental, but everybody else had seen stuff like that. So it was like, he felt just as one, and I was like, see, when it's come round to me, I was like, I'm just going to be honest.
Aye.
So I basically just told them exactly what I tell you, and then I moved on, and then that was it. I was like,
it's because you've seen them being so intimate with you and all, like they've been so like soulful. You know what I mean?
It's funny, innit? And it's funny how like you were more scared to like say what you had seen, but like you were more scared about that than actually going through it. Do you know what I mean? So it's actually scarier to like, it just shows you that sobered mind finds it so much harder to still deal with these things, even though you just went through a full like, trip. They were like, this is it, mate. This is it.
That's a pure ego saying, I don't want to be shown. Do you know what I mean? And it's like,
you've actually just been tangled up with your own soul, and then you're like, I'm not telling anything.
Listen, man.
You think I'm mental when you're sitting at an ayahuasca retreat? You're going to think I'm nuts.
The only good thing is,
see that old French woman, man, she's good.
But see, her stories are mad, right? So like, she'd tell you about like, it was like a beetle in a river, and this beetle signified this, and it climbed up in this rock, and this was it achieving something. It was just like, her stories were so vivid, man. She must have been like a pure creative person like that, but we still call her Bruce Lee.
Aye, pure succinct where like this is what happened and this is why, you know that.
Aye, she was just like, it's just a mad story. Like you're sitting going, oh fuck.
It's mad how different, because you always think when you think about stuff like that, you always think about everybody saying, oh, and you'll meet the same person, you're seeing the same gods, you're seeing these beings and all that, and you think it must be like it must be something that's actually out in consciousness and you're just tapping into it. But then when you talk about it, it's like everything seems so different and so personal.
It's pure personalised, isn't it?
That thing is like, you know, as I said, there was a lot of like spiritual stuff around about it, which I can't really say is or isn't. I don't know if I 100% believe in that or not, but there is stuff that makes me kind of go, oh, you know what, that is interesting. The way people talk about things, like for instance, I'll give you this example. So this was in the second night. Basically, my youngest mate, obviously he's only 18, like you're worried about him, right? But he was fine. But he goes up to go to the toilet. So I'm sitting there, man, and like I'm just fucking, it's just going, right? But I can hear somebody being sick. And I'm like, oh fuck, I need to go and make sure he's all right, man, right? And I'm just pure building myself up to go and stand up and walk out the room, right? And I go on and go, and I'm like, right, fuck it, I'm going to do it. Unzip my sleeping bag, I'm like, right. Just as I got up, he coughs. He's sitting right next to me, right? But for me, like, I felt like for other people I spoke to, they said that's some trying to lure you out the room, like a dark spirit, right?
Wait.
But I don't know if that was or it wasn't. Right?
I'd go chasing after that
right,
man.
for me, right, personally, I feel like that was my ego's last step to try and get me out the room, because probably if I went out the room, I'd have sat down somewhere
and
I wouldn't have experienced what I experienced. So that's what it meant for me. But whether that's right or not, I do not know. It could have been.
That's insane.
Some
mate.
dark spirit.
And you're like, your mind and your like ego, your soul or whatever's like automatically being like, that's him. Like you've got no reason to think that was him, but it's just something's hitting you. Like that's him. I should be taking care of him. I need to get up.
I need to get
I need to get out here.
Aye, so that's just like a pure.
It's like a last stand. I felt like
it's like a physical manifest that you're like shiting yourself to date, kind of thing, innit? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
In the real world, I think that shit's fucking mental, man.
It's bizarre, man. And then so the next day, you all got up.
So the next day, you do your sharing ceremony. So I actually felt good about that. And then it's just like, all it is meals and just chill the fuck out, man. It's like there's nothing to do, nowhere to be till night time when you're going to do it again.
What is like, see, like the day, like, so obviously you're not going, I'm only going to walk, I'm only going to the
walk.
Oh, did you? But like, you're not like going to like, I'm going to the beach for a while, you know what I mean? Like, so what, and like, I'm guessing you're only just sitting on your phones and all that, so it's like, what is it, does a day go, does it drag, how does time feel?
That's the thing, mate. As I was saying, see with my mates, like, we've spent a lot of time together, different bits, but it's all been segmented. But that was the most time we spent together, and mate, all we did was laugh and just talk about things, and it was so refreshing. You know what I mean?
Pure wholesome.
We would just sit and laugh, right? So like all the people there would come up and talk to us and that, and they'd be like, "Are you family?" Right? Even though all look totally different, right? Because they're all good-looking bastards, unlike me, right? But basically, we would say, "No," but they thought we were speaking another language because we're Scottish, so. They come up and would speak a wee bit slow and why are you talking in amongst yourselves? What language is that? I'd be like, it's English.
I was on a flight with my pal, me and Donicky, right? When like obviously you know how you get like 2 years together, like you try to show somebody from England or a podcast, they just be like, what are they saying? So me and Donicky are sitting mad way at like 8 in the morning on a flight to Amsterdam, right? So there's two people sitting in front of us and we're obviously talking shite the full way, pure wreck. She turned round, the person in front of us turned round and they're like, are you guys Swedish? They told me we're Swedish. Imagine like that's how mental we sound compared to a normal English accent.
You sound Scandinavian.
Yeah, actually, it sounds like as you say a completely different language.
Henrik Lawson.
Me, Chip, Claude.
But so was day 2? Was that like? What happened when you went into this? Is it the exact same as the first day, like ceremony wise?
Aye. Basically, same script. You go in. I can't like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. You would go in. You'd sit down. It'd just be a matter of going up and get your shot. You would do the wee shot that I thought was ayahuasca. That was for the first night only. So like you got to your shot. I do.
You got a wax down with
but basically it just hit a shot, sit down, it's all dark, and all you hear is a
we're back, baby.
There we go again, man.
Shit, here we go again.
Like for instance, like I'm sure it was either that night or the other night, but my mate was sitting next to me. I'm pretty sure it was the second night. Basically his mum had passed away, and like through a lot of grief and all that kind of stuff, he basically just wanted to see his mom's face, because in his memory it was a bit I don't know how you would explain it, like the image was faded.
Aye, it's like a dream, and that you forget through, like as the day goes on, it's like getting more distant and distant.
Exactly, right. So it was basically like when he went, that's all he wanted to do was see his mum again. That was his reason for going, right?
Aye.
And he got that in the second night, you know what I mean, and see listening to him in the morning, like it was just, like it was fucking, like, it was like a joyful, heart-warming experience, mate, like just listening.
Genuine,
you know what I mean?
like happiness.
So basically, the second night for me, obviously the first night was all about my mum. Second night was all about my dad, and it was basically just the same kind of script, but it was all his perspective, and it was just like him growing up, basically. Excuse me. Basically, he was like, he's from a Catholic family and they married a Protestant, so they kind of disowned him for a while. But obviously, I fell back in, but I could feel that pure, like, what the fuck? And I don't know if it would be neglect, but it's like a pure, like,
abandonment almost.
Abandonment, you know what I mean? And then I could just, it was just like, it was dead weird. Like, it wasn't like a vision kind of thing like that. It was just more a feeling.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
An experience, like,
Aye, and it was just like, a lot of mad stuff happened, and it was just basically like, it was an overwhelming feeling of, I understand why. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I forgive him. Do you know what I mean?
So it took you through like that feeling of like him being like like disowned almost by his family. Then like, did it show you again like him and your mum?
Aye. So basically, it showed me him and his mum. I don't know if it was like more like a memory. It's hard to, because a lot of that was just pure feeling. So I don't know if I was visually remembering.
It's like another sense even.
Aye. So, and basically there was a lot of stuff like, when my dad was leaving, I knew about it before my mom for like weeks. And basically he was going to take me with him, but that never happened. And I ended up staying with my mum, right? Which, like, see with that, even though I was a kid, I felt a lot of guilt and shame for my mum. And it was like, it just showed me like, I shouldn't have been involved in that. And I mean, it's like, I was a fucking kid. Do you know what I mean? I shouldn't have to make adult decisions. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I should forgive him, but I should forgive myself for that. You know what I mean?
Like, because you couldn't, there's not a right decision you could have made then?
No, because I didn't understand the consequences. You know what I mean?
Did you know previously you were still holding on to that feeling, or was that a mad revelation?
No, that was a revelation. So before I went there, right, I was always like a happy guy, but I always had a lot of anger. Right, like I was just angry at all. I don't know why, right? But
I can't imagine that.
So, like, but that's the thing. It was just like I could feel that inside me. You know what I mean? And it was like that was my reason for going, was to understand that and let go of it, because you can't walk about and just feel that all the time. You know what I mean? It just festers because it's like
just weighing you down, innit?
Because like they talk about anger as like an acid, and it just destroys the vessel. Do you know what I mean? And that's exactly what it's like. Because you do things, you make decisions that you would never really do. And like, after I've done ayahuasca, like the calmness in me, like I feel it myself.
Aye, that's what I know. Like, even just like, because obviously I was like, Jamie was like, guy from my work coming on and blah blah blah, and I was like, no, he's just like, even when I started in there, like, it sounds stupid, right? Like, but see, usually when you meet somebody that's like this, the size you are, like very like big and very like, they usually don't have you have like a gentleness to you, like you're quite a gentle person. You're like, you're not just like, usually bigger people are just like, no hitting things, but do you know what I mean? You've just got a very, just want to leather people in.
Metaphorically walking about leather people.
Aye. Like, you don't, like, cause of your size, you don't need to be gentle. It's no, people don't expect that of you, whereas as soon as I met you, you were just very like, there was no like, I could just feel a calmness and a gentleness for you. So I think that's must have came for that. Do you know what I mean? I was like, this guy's done some fucking drugs.
I just came in there and said, alright, Evan, mate, what's happening? What you been taking?
What a small talk, mate. What about reality, bro?
I actually do shit like that, and my work everyday life tends to be like, so like try to talk, and I'm just like, so you scared to die? Nah, I feel trying to cut the shit. Get to the real shit.
Weed them out, man.
Later on, it was just like, I talked about earlier on, it's just a screen. So it was just a screen, right? And it was like pure violence, right? It was like a battlefield, and it was just this big a sword like just charging through the country, right? But see, have you ever seen like Joe Rogan talk about like when he's doing DMT, there's like these wee jesters appear like on like if your vision is a screen, they're in the corner pure laughing at him.
Aye.
Well, I had that, right? But it wasn't jesters, it was like two wee anime geishas, right? In the corner of my eye, and they just kept laughing at me all the time, just going,
Fucking bitches.
Me, honestly, bitches be crazy. Do you know what I mean?
That's like the updated version. It was the Joker, the jesters in it.
That's a modern day jester.
what it was just like hundreds. It kept just showing me different stuff, like stuff like that, and it was just like pure laughing, going, that's not the way. Like they were just shaking their head constantly and all that, right? And it was almost like all these things, like you value or whatever, right? As a man, you shouldn't take yourself too seriously, right?
Aye.
Like
What,
and
with
that's
the
what that was
masculine
like,
shit?
aye. So you're like, you shouldn't be this. Oh fucking and
I'll
like,
fucking let
what
him,
about
man.
barter cunts? I mean, it's just
insensitiveness.
aye, it's just that way is just ridiculous. You're just like toxic to everybody. Not that I was ever that way. It was just like you could be that way, but it was just mad because these things just kept appearing and just laughing at me the next 2 days. Do you know what I mean? Like, well, I was doing ayahuasca, obviously. And it was just,
In real life.
all here, there's a fucking laugh.
They're in the house, man.
Can't get rid of them.
I didn't mention I was a paranoid schizophrenic.
I've never been bit to Portugal.
Never been out the country. But it was this mad thing, right? And I interpreted this wrong at the time, but I understand what it is now. So it was a mad, so I was like just laughing, like they kept laughing at me, I just kept laughing back, going, this is fucking ridiculous, right? And then all of a sudden, right, I'm in a tunnel, right? And all I can feel is pure anxiety, right? Overwhelming, right? And as I'm walking down this tunnel and open the doors, there's a fucking rocket ship, right? in front of me. And I was just like, what the fuck? But there's all these people taking pictures and all this shit, right? And like again, right? And seeing the fucking seeing this rocket, it's all Russian, right? So I'm visually hanging this, right? And like I'm touching stuff, but I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I don't know Russian, right?
Never mind rocket science.
Rocket science, aye. That's not a thing. You pick it up easy, mate.
Famously, rocket science is an easy thing to do.
I was a doctor in an hour, so that's not any bother. Hey, but it's like fucking the anxiety, you know, that was overwhelmed. That you were going to be the first person to do this, right? So for in my mind, right, this was the story of Yuri Gagarin in it, first man to orbit the Earth. So next minute you fucking get fired up, and you're in space, right, and you see the Earth, right, and these wee things are back,
Still
and
there.
laughing, right. But then this thought came in my head going, this is your mother, right, the Earth, right, and you have to look after it, right. Now, which is a mad thing, right? This is why, like, people have these experiences and they always say, it's mad you have this thing, right, that tells you you have to look after the Earth, right? But it comes from the Amazon jungle, which we're actively destroying every year, you know what I mean? And basically it was just like that, and I'm just floating through. Like, I'm sitting in this thing, and it might not even look like the actual cockpit or anything like that, but for me, that's what's happening. I'm just drifting, and I'm like, what the fuck, man? I'm the only one that's seen this,
crazy.
right? So see, at the time I thought this meant, oh, I'm going to get home and I'm going to be the first person to do something, right? But after I met my wife, right, she showed me that, like, I didn't realise how much anxiety I have in life, right? And what I interpret that now is see, throughout my life, like, anxiety's held me back from doing a lot of things, whereas if I make it through there, I could have anything. And it's like, that was just a unique experience to show you have to overcome that.
If you understand the Russian and get the rocket up,
if I just go to like university for like 10 years and go to like, can I go to NASA? I don't know what the Russian version is.
Rasa.
Go to Rasa, become an astronaut.
A rastronaut.
Just go to Tesla. Talk to Elon Musk.
Aye, but that's what that's like because like in that it was like you going through a mad difficult thing, and to get shown that the Earth's yours. Know what I mean?
So like you've got everybody watching you, and it's just you're filled with that anxiety, and if it goes wrong, it's your name. Remember throughout the end of time. Know what I mean?
But then in the trip you done it. You overcame the anxiety and shit. Do you know what I mean? So it's like
but that's what I'm saying. See the things you go through. You see, they might not make sense to you there and then, right? But seeing the like years to come, you might just piece it together, and that's the maddest thing about it, right? Because like the rest of that night was more like visual stuff and all that, and it was a great night. Like honestly, the fucking sense of joy. So when we went up, right, so I got up and I seen my mate, I was going to say his name there, but I seen my mate, a big mate, man, I love him a bit. Me and him went up, and my younger mate and the boy sitting next to us, they were basically still fucking going through something, right, so we just left him, went away up, and we were sitting in the room, and he was telling me about his experience. I was like, did you get something with this? And he's like, aye, fucking, he told me all about it, right, but one of the things he kept telling me was, this like blackness appeared at the side of him, and he's like, it just started forming like hands, and then next minute stabbing them in the back, and he's like, by the way, I think that's my wife, right? Right, and I shit you not, right, see like a year after we came back, he found out his wife was cheating on him and all that, and he went through a hellish divorce and all this kind of stuff, like, and it's, like, again, I don't know if there must have been some in his head,
like a subconscious worry about her.
Or
like
a
someone's
or a
telling
mad,
him.
aye,
I
an
mean,
answer for
who
the
knows?
universe, mate.
Exactly, it could be either or.
Aye, because it's like,
That's the side that I'm on at all times, bro.
what, it's the universe?
Aye,
Aye,
it's out there, mate. It's out there, I think.
That's like believing in Santa still, mate. no, listen, defo, like, because it is, but then is it like, do we really deep down have all the answers? Do you know what I mean? To everything,
That's the thing.
and we just can't unlock it. If you know what I mean.
Aye.
See the thing for me is, right, is the effect, the effect is there, and it's guaranteed, right, that is there, you know what it is, but what's causing that is unknown.
And does it matter really if you're still getting the same answers?
But the effect is what really matters, and like I've done a lot of work on myself through the effects that I experience, so whether it is me or it is spirits or whatever you want to believe, because there's even like when I when I didn't mention, there's even like a Brazilian church that they, through like Christianity, so they
it's in America, isn't it?
No, it's in Brazil, but they've got a religious exemption to do ayahuasca in America.
Aye, that's what I'm thinking of. Aye.
So like they'll do it and then they sing about Jesus and all that. But if that's your thing, that's your thing. You know what I mean?
Well, you do it and you sing about. Look at the Catholic Church, right?
Aye, well, if that's your thing, don't do that.
Mistakes on me.
None of that CP kicking about. Aye, so that's the second night. Our boys come up. Me and my younger mate, we sat on the balcony for probably about an hour. And see, because you're in the light pollution, man, I've never seen so many stars in my entire life. And then you sit and you see the shamans walk out in just a normal everyday clothes. It kind of breaks the illusion a wee bit. You know what I mean? But,
You get a life, mate.
Off-duty shaman.
I can't see these off-duty shamans.
Plain clothes shaman. CID, man.
But aye, and then that was the basically second night. Like all the boys got submitted to that. As I say, that was a heavy night, so there was so much stuff. But it's like I would need to be here for 6 hours to tell you everything. That I mean. But do you want me going to the third night?
So tell us about the third day. So you wake up, is it same again, sit about until
same with me, get your meals, talk to people. I think I was going to say just what you're saying about the size and all that and the calmness. So basically one of the Brazilian girls came up to me, we were talking to a group thing, and she came up to me and she basically said how she said it? She basically said thank you. Because when she first seen all of us, because we're all big guys, basically she was feared. She's like, oh no, because she's been in situations and ceremonies before as well, where it's all been guys and it's overpowering. But I think as well, like, bad things had happened to her. But she pure gave me like 3 cuddles, like pure heartfelt cuddles, right? Saying, oh, do you know what? Thank you for being the way you are. And I was like, right, thank you. Do you know what I mean?
I wish I got that compliment.
Mate, see if somebody said that to me, I'd end it all, mate. I'd be me tipped there. It's all down for it.
Retire on top.
Thank you for being who you are.
Do you know what I mean?
It's literally just, I just wake up and do it.
I grew it myself.
So, but she was like grateful for you just being nice.
So
maybe he's like helped her through, like consciously or subconsciously, just being warm people.
I do think that, because I think like with the documentaries that we'd watched before, like see you're dealing with a lot of people with a lot of trauma, like it's a different experience for if you go there and people are all just like, I don't know, like curious to find out what would happen, or they've obviously got a reason to be there. But if you're going with people with a lot of abuse, there's a lot of like wailing and crying and all that kind of stuff you hear. It can, like, same with your environment, it can tip you in a bad way.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
Aye. So you go into the ceremony for like night 3.
Aye, the third
So what is the dosage like there? Obviously you start with the small one,
Aye,
then the
so-
bigger one the second night.
Obviously, I'm only assuming this, right, because the effect, but definitely the second night was a higher dose, right? So the third dose, I think, was just slightly lower than that. But that night, like, they say to you, if you feel like you've got a lot out of it, you should have a look and see what's in your heart, right? So I was like, fuck it, may as well give it a go since I'm here. It just starts again, that, right? And then you go through all the stuff again. And I was like, what is actually in my heart, right? And the first thing that came up was my wee sister. So basically, it was like, I pure felt guilt and shame because I hadn't thought about her through that full time, even though she was a massive part of it. But my problem was, I tried to protect her for the world, but it was like, try and hold back the ocean. You'd never be able to do it properly. Because my wee sister was one of the reasons I went there as well, because she suffered a lot with depression. And like, ayahuasca is like well known, but for like curing depression and stuff like that. But I don't think like it would be right for my wee sister. Do you know what I mean? But maybe it was right for me. Maybe that was the excuse I used myself to get there.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
Justified
But
it.
that was what was in my heart, was my wee sister. And then there was like other stuff that was like a lot more personal, like with relationship stuff and all that. Just we kind of went through that, right? And it was like a good few years of just dissecting all that. And do you know what? See, at the end of it, I just felt so happy, man, and like eternally grateful. So see, after that, I just pure hot the giggles. Everyone was funny. Like,
Aye.
you're sitting there and like people are fucking wailing and spewing about you know that, and I'm just giggling my head off, man. Right?
Just pure bliss. Like,
Just pure bliss. Like, everyone's funny, and I kept just having this wee thing going on me. Life is but a dream, right? I just kept saying it, and I was like I would even say it out loud, and I just kept laughing.
That must have looked mental.
Life is but a dream.
But that was the only other thing, right? Like I was saying it before, but sitting next to somebody you know. So see my mate sitting next to me. Basically, he kept giggling with me, right? And then he'd be sick, and then he'd be giggling with me. So see, for me, right, when we went in a sharing session next day, I just said like, what I'd said there. Basically, how I just felt so like grateful and joyful, and it was like just amazing, like just laughing, and everyone was so funny, man. And it was something like, what it was showing me was like, even in the darkest shit, like I've got a dark sense of humour anyway, but I will laugh no matter. I'll always find a reason to laugh. You know what I mean? And but with my mate, he seen that, see, because he couldn't stop giggling, because I was like, so if your best mate was giggling next to you, you're going to laugh. And he seen that as his ego, just pure. For him, it was a negative thing.
Aye.
Like he's pure giggling, he can't stop, and he's like, it's my fucking ego. Just
And it's because it's as if it's overtaken for
Aye,
something. Like
aye.
he's supposed to be doing something, and it's going, here, look at that, like your pal's laughing at that. It's distracting him for the truth, kind of thing.
Aye, that's it. Which
It's mad that you can have such a different experience sitting next to somebody,
I know.
and you think like, oh, we're on the same
Aye,
thing.
exactly.
You must have been like, I'm sorry.
sorry mate, I made your night.
You're actually in heaven, and he's like, pointing at him that. He's like,
Oh, mate.
Oh, mate, that's fucking crazy. So, like, that third night was just like bliss, like just.
That initial bit of like dealing with that stuff, like, it's the same again. It was a mere like feeling. There was no like real kind of vision to it. Like, but it was like, it was so like fucking necessary, man. Like, that's really what I went for, I think. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and I did like a lot of things where like, my dad's a good guy, right? But see, with me when I was younger, like, he would be quite harsh with you. See, when he was angry, I used to work with my dad until I was like 9-year-old, right? See, when he was angry, everyone's your fault. So see, as a kid hearing that, you think everyone is your fault. So see, when you grow up, see, no matter how like good you can be at some of that, you feel pure inferior. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, that just showed me, like, do you know what I mean? That's why you feel like that. Do you know what I mean? And like, shouldn't you, like, what somebody says to you should never affect you in that level, but it does, it creates trauma and all that, because you're just developing as a child, you know what I mean? And it's not that he done it on purpose, he seen me, I maybe wouldn't say he's weak, right, but just like
it's just his
soft-natured kind of guy, and he just wanted to make me a bit tougher. So I did develop tough skin, right? So like, things like somebody says something to me, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. But you still have that wee bit in you. It just makes you think, oh, I'm not good enough.
Aye, because if the good side of that sinks in, then the bad side sinks in with it.
So
You know
that's
what I mean?
Like we were saying earlier on, everything's a mad balance of two things.
So that was what I got on the third night, was, see, like, it was showing me how things open. Everyone was duality, right? So everyone was light and dark. You couldn't have one without the other to make something, right? And it just kept showing me stuff like that. It's like the duality nature of the universe. You have to have one thing to have the other. If you're going to have peace, you need to have war, all that kind of stuff. And it's just like, it was mad. You know what I mean?
That's a mad thing to trip on, man. that would blow my mind.
See that?
But then I'm having no thoughts and still giggling all the way through that.
Aye, so like it's weird, innit? Because your emotions are like totally different. There's no panic or that about it.
No.
It's almost like you're laughing at a relief, if you know what I mean.
See, I think to me, that was me laughing like I was talking about the wee daft fucking geisha things. Laughing, it was like, don't take this stuff. Like, see what the shamans were saying at the first night, don't go in extremes. It's like, don't take it too seriously. Because
you go through the looking glass.
The thing is, who it affects is you, and you maybe not see the effects all these things have on you, but that can really affect you. So don't take it too serious. Just have fun. It's your life. You live it.
Do you feel like, just when you're talking there about like having, like, laughing about something but seeing something serious, I sometimes think like with acid, it kind of makes your brain work on different levels. So like sometimes I'll be like hearing shit and it'll be like my thoughts will like go down to that compartment and like do that. But then if I'm seeing shit, it will be like two different things that are happening simultaneously in my head. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
And it's as if you can
multitask in your brain almost.
Which is like, obviously that sounds like, oh, you can multitask like MD can, but it's like you can actually see the mad things working, like a hang up there and a hanger there and a hanger there, and they're all working just as like capable as each other. When it
so just
happens.
performing the one thing.
Where it's like a fractal thing. So like some opens up and it's like the same inside,
right?
And but you maybe see a pattern, but then when you see it bigger, becomes something totally different. It's all made up of this same like kind of geometric pattern kind of stuff.
I know what you mean.
It's like you see stuff like that all the time, like, especially with acid. You know what I mean?
What do you think? Also, like, just before we go into like the end date and stuff like that, what do you think it is? You know how, like, say you're tripping with somebody. This is what's weird to me. You're like, we were all in here tripping, right? A lot of the time, you end up seeing the same shit.
Thing,
what is that?
That's one of the things where it's like, see if it is internal, how you seen the
exactly. That's what I don't get.
I just think it's nothing to do with experience. Like, it's nothing to do with like, oh, if you've done this hundreds of times, you can't have it. It's not as if you get better at it and shit. Do you know what I mean? So I do think it is just like there is a mad, like, it's near enough proof that there's like a universal consciousness. Like, it's like there's been studies for, I think I've said it on before, like David Lynch Foundation or whatever it was called. They put on a thing that so many people meditated at certain times in LA at the same time, and in the time periods, like, crime went down like 40% or something. And then when there's like a boxing match on in LA, crime goes up 40%.
Just because of the atmosphere.
Because everybody's tapped into the same thing, and if it's like, you know, you walk into a place and you get mad vibes and shit. Like, it is like I think there needs to be a mad consciousness in the world that you're tapping.
Do you think just doing acid and that just allows you to see it a bit clearer with each other? Like, you feel it more than what we can without it?
Because you're obviously using your senses and shit, and it is your brain, and it is like kind of analytical, but at the same time it's just giving you tools to be able to see this thing. It's not that's inside you. It's like that has the keys to unlock the door. And if you're sitting with somebody, obviously it doesn't happen every time, but like it can sometimes be that.
How many numerous reports is there of people seeing the same things and having joint experiences? You know what I mean?
And also, mate, like, because it's obviously an ancient drug, and it's like
ayahuasca's just to hang me. Ayahuasca's been used. The earliest use of ayahuasca was dated 3,000 years ago.
Do you know what I mean? At that time, well, maybe not that time, but like 1,000 years ago, it was like used by different like tribes and like native peoples from different areas that have never spoken shit. It's as if they've like got in their head somehow.
But it's like, do you know, like, you always get the fucking mad ancient alien things, right? Where it's like a carving on a wall and it's similar to one on the other side of the world. But what if that was them tripping and they just seen the same thing and carved it?
I get like the fact that shit's so similar that we spoke about how like monuments are always very similar. Like pyramids are like everywhere around the world for some reason, and that
They've
could
all
be the
got
same
similar
thing.
things.
Aye.
So it's like maybe like with the pyramids and like the Mayans have got their own sort of like pyramid thing.
Ancient features,
Aye, like all these mad ancient, like the amount of ancient structures all over the world that have stairs. Because the pyramids is basically stairs, in it.
There's a dark side to psychedelics which is involved in the pyramids, right? So the pyramids are made by the Aztecs. So like, for instance, there's one, it was in Mexico City, whatever the name of that place was back in the day. It was the temple of the war god. So they were taking mushrooms, right? So they were taking mushrooms, and some entity, right, told them they had 80,000 slaves built that. They sacrificed every one of them in 4 days, which works out like 4 a minute or something like that. And that's sacrifice, like cut your heart out, chop your head off.
What, because of the like, apparition or whatever?
Because, see, the Aztec society was a murderous culture. So basically, they were taking like psilocybin, but it was giving them pure dark thoughts. And like, but then 80,000 people stood in a queue and waited to get this done, which is another weird thing.
Well,
Do you know what I mean?
because they also believed in it. They also like maybe that is mad.
It's like a huge cult, basically.
That's a huge Jonestown.
Like the ancient Jonestown, basically.
All the Aztecs drinking the Kool-Aid.
Drinking the Kool-Aid.
Jim Jones up there, cutting people's hearts out.
Aye, but just to go back on to like your last day, so the trips are over. You've got
So one thing I would mention, right, is there was 2 different things happened, but only going to one, right. The other one we can talk about another time, right. But one of them was basically, I had this question, right. Now people all say, oh, that you're an old soul kind of thing. Well, people have said that to me in the past, right. So I thought, am I an old soul? I just asked the question, right. And basically showed me, it was the fucking maddest thing, right, because to this day I don't know what it means, right, but I'll just tell you, because I'll tell you mad shit anyway. I was sitting for 5 minutes and I thought, oh well, nothing's happening, and I was sick, and then I was like, all of a sudden I was sitting in a room and this elf, like, it was like a guy, right, but like an elf kind of wizard looking cunt, took a headset off, right, and people were trying to drag him away, but he didn't want to go because he was having too much fun, right. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then it just went, and then all of a sudden it was just a young guy running like happy as Larry through the streets. And I still don't know what that means.
I mean like something like don't let go of your youth or something, like mad shit like
just
that.
because
like,
maybe somebody tells you something, I don't know.
A headset as in like a VR headset? He's controlling you?
It just felt like somebody went like that, like,
he's took him out of the simulation.
So like simulation theory is a big thing, especially you listen to podcasts with scientists and all that. They all kind of semi-believe in simulation theory, which is mad. And they're like, if technology can advance to a certain level, it will actually happen one day. So it's inevitable. But whether we're in it or no, they don't know. So I'd obviously looked at stuff like that before, so I don't know if that's influenced that.
Right, it could
But
have.
it was just that thought of just going, well, we're done here.
I think that like simulation theory is just like a modern version of like Buddhism and like mad Hindu shit, like monkey gods controlling you for the centre of the earth and all that. It's just like a mad modern version. It's just a mad higher power that's created this.
It comes from like string theory, because like also it's a theory, like I can't even really explain it that well, right? But it's like string theory is like a mathematic equation, right? It's saying they're doing this for the nature of the universe. They basically find this self-correcting code for it, but it's like you need to be like an autistic genius to kind of figure it out.
Read it,
but
it's kind of like it's like the mad, like the computers in a video game try to understand the programming, like we said that before.
Exactly.
That's what I was trying to work out. What the fuck's going on?
What the fuck's going on? Okay, why are we doing things that's conscious like this to this level? You know what I mean?
We've spoke about it before, like how can a rock become a computer, then that becomes like a simulation, like in our world. So it's like, obviously there must be a mad, like the chances of everything just being a simulation made it like vapour or something is just like it needs to happen.
I think it's like it becomes like when you start thinking about shit like that, I think it becomes more like plausible than non-plausible. And I do think like religion and like early religion is just like an ancient way of describing that kind of thing. Or it's either that or that shit's true and that spiritualistic stuff's true, and this Elon Musk fucking like simulation theory and that is like a modern version of that, just so that cause it's probably easier for us to imagine that we are inside a simulation or created in a computer game or whatever
Well,
like
just-
that,
it
than it
gives-
is to believe in God.
We just
Aye.
everybody just wants
Exactly.
an answer, like an explanation for this, and like if you've got one that you can't actually really prove, like so people say if there's a God then prove it. Like, I mean, like, everybody's looking for proof, but simulation theory is like something that you would never know you were in. So
Aye.
it's like the perfect answer almost. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, aye.
Because you're never going to get proof of it because it is a simulation.
It's like a self-correcting fucking
Aye, aye.
equation, I mean.
Exactly.
I like you'll never be able to figure it out because every
But
time
it's
it
like-
just
Aye.
fucks you in the ass.
Aye, it's like
It's the worst thing in the
maybe
world.
I
you're
hate
not
that.
meant to know, but maybe you're meant to always ponder.
I had this thought when the first time I took acid as well, right? Which was like this overpowering sense of like I have a habit of like thinking about things a lot, like, and sometimes it's good for things and sometimes it's bad for things. But I had this habit of like thinking, always try to think, what's this? Try to figure this out, and I got this sense of like the people who think the least are usually the happiest in
Aye,
terms of
aye.
like I'm not trying
Ignorance
to
is
aye,
bliss.
aye, exactly, in a sense where it was like you don't need to be stupid and no think about your life, but at the same time thinking too much can have like the absolute reverse
Aye.
effect on what you're trying to do.
The happiest cunts in the world are cunts that like are just that like don't reflect on their life and
Aye.
shit, and they would just go up the road and just like watch EastEnders or Corey or
Aye,
something,
but-
like
but,
microwave
we-
their dinner and shit,
aye.
and just get on with it. That without being pure racked with like, what the fuck's
But
actually
it's
happening.
like you could sit there and go like that. Do you know what? I've really thought about it, and you know what? This is bullshit. That's bullshit. Life is meaningless. What's the
Nihilism,
point?
innit?
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But there's always meaning. You find meaning. Like, I think the biggest problem with like Western society, right? I don't really know about the rest of the world, but biggest problem is like you don't do the things you love. Like, you probably do this podcast, you love doing it. Do you know what I mean? And it's a passion, so you probably enjoy doing it. Whereas like, a lot of people, they maybe think, oh, do you know, I'd love to do that, but they'll just never do it.
Aye.
It'll just be a wee dream they sit to the side. You know what I mean?
It's like, oh, imagine you could do that, like
Aye.
that sort of thing.
What if?
Have you ever heard of that David Graeber's book, that Bullshit Jobs? I think I was talking to you about it, and it was like the amount of things.
We know about them, Lee.
I think it was like Duncan Trussell that was talking about it on his podcast, and he said like he was talking about this book, but I heavily want to read it 'cause it's like what you're saying. It's like
Aye.
there's so many jobs in the world, like literally millions of jobs in the world that don't actually contribute.
Aye.
Apart
And-
from the stuff that's just ideas,
Aye.
like
Aye.
insurance companies are just mad ideas,
Aye.
and so you're not actually contributing to the universe. So like the amount of detachment you would feel for your actual existence is so like,
Aye, that-
and it's just normal. It's
It's
just
like
Aye.
it's like as well. He talks about how most jobs, like, say for example, you went into work, right, and instead of them going, right, you're here from this point to this point, and they said, look, this is what we want you to do today, and once you've done that, you can leave, right?
Aye.
The sense of like achievement and like you would feel more connected to the job as well, because you'd be
Aye.
like, what I'm putting into this equates to like when I'm getting out of here.
Your
So it's
reward.
like,
Emotions.
aye, so it's like that whole thing of like, right, you're here for this amount of time, doesn't matter how hard or how little you work. With all that spare time, it's like that's your brain like disconnecting almost in it. It's
Aye.
like it's like the way to drive a man insane almost
Aye.
in it.
Aye.
And he said, like what we were talking about earlier, like about lying to yourself. He was like, that's like where you.
Aye,
he's
exactly.
like, you could do that work in 2 hours, but you're there for 8 or 9 hours.
Aye.
So he's like, for 6 or 7 hours out of the day, you're literally lying to yourself because you're going,
What can I do?
just
Aye.
kid on, I'm doing this. You know.
Aye.
You walk about looking like you're working,
Aye.
and it's like
No, we do that now. What?
no, we would never do that ever.
Professionals to the core.
Professionals, busy day in day out. You winning, aye. Another day, another dollar. You
You're working harder, hardly working.
all that stuff. But anyway, so the end of it's finished, right?
Aye.
End of the ceremony and that. What happens? Like, so say, do you just go back to the room, sleep, and then you're away the next day?
Aye, so we were gonna be the next day. I believe that some people were going away that day. So like you said, Churio, some people, other people, they left. So it was mad. You were just sitting there and like we were all just discussing what had happened and all that, and like that was fucking one of the most fulfilling experiences I've ever had in my entire life. You know what I mean? Like I'd say, other than marrying my wife, is the second best thing I've ever done. You know what I mean?
Aye.
And it did change my life, and I will plan to go back.
Do you feel like a totally different person before you done it?
Aye.
That's fucking
That's
mental,
mad,
innit?
innit?
No,
And mad
it's like,
because-
oh,
Aye.
you're this guy and then you're that guy.
Aye, but you feel
it
a
is
different
that,
version
do you
of
know what I
yourself.
mean?
You're a new version
Like,
of yourself.
to your mates and all that, you still be the same guy, mate. Like, One thing they tell you is, like, when you're there, they say, see what you've been through, don't go away telling everybody straight away, because you need to
let it
unpack
sink
it
in.
yourself. Know what I mean?
Over fucking, like, you're probably still unpacking it years and shit.
Aye.
But that's like the thing I couldn't say. Like, the reason that you actual change is because it's like you live like 100 year. Like, you live like, well, maybe not 100 year, but you live a mad lifetime.
It's what they say is it's fast healing. So it's like all that. It may take years to get to that point. It's just dissected in 3 nights. Do you know what I mean? But that seemed when I came back, I generally thought everybody should do ayahuasca. Like, everybody should, like, can you imagine, like, certain people you know owning it, like, having that experience with
world leaders and shit.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, I always used to worry, like, see when I would be taking ecstasy sometimes, I've always think about my mum and dad taking it, and like nothing feels me up more than that. Like, see the thought of them like me watching them own an Eki, like going, oh my god, do you know what I mean? I couldn't even imagine that. So that's obviously what the feeling you're having is in. So you get back and you're like, no, everybody should take this.
So after you've been back a while, you realise this is not for everybody. The people couldn't, like the spiritual side of it, they say there's a calling for it, right? So you feel the need to go and do it. So I feel the need to go and do it again, right? But it doesn't mean like you would feel the need to go and do it. You might be quite content,
right?
But it's like, because you're going there and you know, like, it is going to show you to you, and it's like, do you really want to see that or not? Some people, I think that would be too much for them, and like
it might ruin them.
Mate, see, before talking to you, it was always just a mad thing that was like, I am obviously going to do that. Like, I'm definitely going to do that soon. Like, as soon as I get the opportunity to do that, I'm doing that. Like I was saying, like, me and Joseph were in Mexico, I was like, we could have been out looking to do that. But after talking to you, it's like, because that's what it's been like my full life. Like, I watched like a Vice documentary on ayahuasca when I was like 13, and it's been like it's just been a mad thing that I just know it's going to happen.
Eventually, I'm going to do that.
Exactly. And then after talking to you, I'm like, I'm actually no sure if I would be able to handle that. I don't know if I'm at a point in my life that I'd be able to.
That's the thing. Like, so that's the thing. That's why, like, I feel it's my responsibility to like just tell it how it is, because so many people, like, there's a lot of celebrities and all this shit going down, so the whole tourist industry, so a lot of people going down there for the wrong reasons, where you need to know that you're going there for a reason.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? You're not just going there to date.
So me and Evan shouldn't vlog it.
We're vlogging the full thing, guys. The thumbnail's like the shaman, like Jamie's eye.
You standing right, 2 plant pots in the middle, you're across the streams.
Mate, I can't believe we just thought of that the exact same thing. I'm running, you all like.
I just see the shaman's face and like Jamie's eyes with like the spirals, like pure.
And then like emojis in the background.
Yo, we done ayahuasca and it was sick.
What's up, YouTube?
I'll tell you this one last thing, mate. So see the very last like minute bit of my trip, I get called up last to get the song. So I was sitting in front of like Geraldine, right, and she's singing away, right, and then it was just like, hang me, and then she just stopped. And I'm like, what the fuck? But I could hear like our man still singing, right, and I'm like, what the fuck? She stopped, right, and it's been for ages now. I'm like, is she alright? She keeps going in my head, is she alright? Is she alright? I'm like, we're going like tell her to stand up and go back to her hangings. So I go all the way back and I'm like, I'm still just bothering me. I'm like, is she alright? Then I just hear it. She's like, sound of sick.
Yeah, I'd be fuming. I'm paying for this, get up.
I know. Fuck's sake, man.
But is it a mad weekend that takes it out you like that?
Aye. So imagine them, right? So they are taking it, right? They're also singing all that time. They're walking around you, like spraying you with that stuff, and then they're calling you up by name. Now, you imagine you're mad with it, right? Try and remember 30 people's names.
Different cultures,
people you've never met,
aye.
Different languages, all that kind of stuff. And you're shouting at people to come up. That's fucking mental.
I know, it is.
They remember every name.
Every name, mate.
I wanted to ask something just because I pure think about like the energies people give off, like, because I find that so fascinating how like you can meet somebody within like 5 minutes. Like I met you, I just felt this calmness and that. But you can also meet somebody, and within 5 minutes they've maybe no done anything that you could be like, oh, he's a prick, but you get this feeling, you're like, I don't know. It's like all these energies people go off. So I'm wondering, mate, like, what are these fucking shamans like when you meet them? Like, what,
mate,
like how, what is it like?
This is maybe like something I didn't get any, but I should have. But for like Abdul, right, who's the guy, see in the morning when you would sit and share, right, he would sit, like, see the way you're looking at me now, like, listening to what I'm saying, he would sit, like, pure captivated, and you see him pondering that, and he would say things to you, like, just, oh, like that, like, whatever he thought it meant. Like, he was genuinely interested in what you wanted to say. He gave like, one thing I would say, right, is see the anxiety when you're earlier and you don't know what the fuck's happening. See, as soon as I walked in that room, it just felt good.
Mate, that's the mad. You're talking about like energies after like one person, and I was saying how you have a like kind of social or global consciousness, and that is that because you're walking into a room that's full of pure
different people.
Different people, but like genuine people. Like see, even if there was people there that were really bad and like wanted to get stuff out themselves that were bad, they were there to fix themselves. So
they all had genuine intentions.
Exactly.
So their reason is to look after you and guide you through, so no matter what you're after. That's why. See, as much as I said that I wrote that bullshit thing, it was true, but I should have went more in depth. You should, if you're ever doing it, write exactly why you're there.
Because they can do it.
Whatever it is, right? Like, and the two of them, fun, like, amazing people. You think about it, they do that, like, in Portugal, they're like 8 times a year or something like that, and then they're back down Peru doing it. So think how many people they're doing that for a year.
And it's 10 people every time, I know.
Exactly. And how many people they're helping all the times. Do you know what I mean?
Mad modern day saints, man.
Does it cost a lot to get the 3 days?
Well, for me, that I think I would add in that was about £700, and that was your flights, staying there, and ayahuasca ceremony, I'm sure. But that was back in 2014 though, so fuck knows what it'd be now.
Oh, inflation. And ayahuasca's went up like
ayahuasca inflation.
COVID hit them hard, mate.
BP bought it and
BP up about ayahuasca now, man. No, but so you said, just before we go, you said you're maybe thinking about going back, and so you feel like you need to go back still? You get more stuff to unpack?
So, like, obviously, because I'm married now, right, the plan is to have kids if I'm able, right, and if I'm like lucky enough to have kids, right, I want to do it one more time before I have kids. So, like, if there is anything left in there, like, trauma wise, I want to deal with it, and because I don't want to pass it down.
And you can be a better dad.
A better dad, you know what I mean, or just a better human being. I feel like obviously it's no like you go there and everyone's all rosy. Like, you still got to work on yourself, and like, I've been up and down, like, in a dark place and then back up again, and then it's like just want to really unpack all that for me. And I feel like they always talk about like you get the calling, and I feel it. Do you know what I mean? Like, one thing I did say off air was, see, sometimes like we were talking about lucid dreaming, right? Sometimes I'm dreaming and like something's happening in a dream, I need to go somewhere, and then in my dream there's like an ayahuasca ceremony happening over here. So see whatever the fuck I'm doing, like, fuck this, and I'm trying to get her there, but I always just get to it and never really in.
That's mad, mate. That's actually tapped into your brain, like, come here.
But we were saying, I think you were in the toilet, but me and Joe were saying, imagine when he's dreaming, there was people tripping on ayahuasca and it was actual happening, and he was like connecting into it because he's done it.
You think about it, right?
Imagine that. I don't think it is, but
so you
would be cool on that level.
So you think about it, right? So like, you're doing basically ayahuasca, DMT, right? But DMT's already in you. Your body naturally produces it. They don't really understand where from, but they know it is produced in your body. That's what makes you dream. They say when people have near-death experiences, it's your brain getting flooded with it. So basically, right, you think about it, that's already in you. So like me and Evan were talking about this the other day, just unrelated. Like see, like, a lot of people have got a lot of paranormal stuff and all that. They all see when they're in their bed sleeping at night. I think that's them still tripping off their dreams.
Their DMT, they're like that releasing in their brain. See, speaking about that could be because I think like through the whole podcast we've been like, is it a external thing, internal thing, and I think maybe like see the functional, the mechanical part of it, that's the DMT. That's what lets the ayahuasca, like, that's what like gives you the tools that I was saying, the key to like let you be able to do this. Maybe the DMT just like allows your brain to be able to get taken away by the ayahuasca.
It like lets down a couple of barriers almost.
Like lifts the rope up for it to go in.
Like this, like the way you said as well, like you can't like hold on to reality too much. No. You need to let yourself go to it. But whereas we can't just do that. You know what I mean? See the way you're sober.
As a human being, we've all got barriers up, we've all got walls up, but it's like flowing water. Like with ayahuasca, it just takes all the barriers away, so the water just flows you feel that. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, definitely. I'm at release.
No.
Mate, you know what's interesting as well? One time I was lucid dreaming, I seen these like two women in my room, and it was like two kind of old women, and they had like, see, like Victorian style dresses on, so it was like the long and then like right down and then the big and I was like,
scary?
what the fuck? No, they weren't. I wasn't scared of them, but it was like they were like quite like stern face, like just like kind of looking about and kind of like this. But I didn't feel scared of them. And then I googled about lucid dreaming. It says you can see like your ancestors and all that, and I was like, what the fuck?
That's fucking mental.
So
mate.
imagine that was like my family during like the Victorian times.
Duchess Reilly.
Duchess Reilly coming
at your life.
Coming at you live, aye.
See if you ever like, achieve a lucid dream, you go, I'm in a dream. Your brain will always try to convince you you're no.
Aye.
So it'll just start arguing with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's mad, man.
Aye, lucid dreaming is crazy.
I seen a video the other day. It was like I think it's just like an ALG or something, but it's like it's kind of like the backroom shit in that. But it was called Dreamcore. Have you seen them mad videos? And it's like welcome to the Dreamcore, and it shows you like this mad thing, and it's like they mad they rooms that look familiar but they aren't, and it's kind of like liminal spaces. But then it's like this voiceover and it's talking, and it's going, the place is beautiful, you can stay for as long as you want, and then it says shit like, but don't eat the flowers because that'll make you never be able to leave. No, but it's pure creepy, mate. But I got into a mad like
salad fingers, it.
But more like just like it was like an advert for this dream place, and it was like, if you see anyone, do not talk to them. If they walk towards you, run away. Not, and it wasn't even trying to be scary. It was trying to be scary, but I mean like it was that way. It didn't show you anything scary, mate. But it was just got my head pure gone. Like I don't want to dream anymore, mate.
Mate, see. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. But we could talk for days, but we better wrap it up. But Lee, thank you so much for coming on, mate.
Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely tremendous, mate. Love listening to your stories, and I'm sure we'll get you back on. I mean, we want you to come back on, and we can maybe do a watch along, and we'll watch an ayahuasca ceremony, like a documentary, because I think as well what that would probably do is like you'd probably see something and be like, oh fuck, and then you could talk about what. So I think that would be class, maybe to do in a Patreon or whatever.
Aye, definitely. Patreon.com/Reilly's, yeah.
Get over there, guys. But Lee, thanks so much, man.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
It's been a belter. We hope you enjoyed it, team. Cheers.
Put the feet up, kick back and relax in your best. No, I'm sitting on Reilly's Gaff and I'm sitting on back in the pad. Get deep fried and I smoke some packs of the grass. Put the feet up, kick back and relax in your best. No, I'm sitting on Reilly's Gaff.